Hello everyone, how are you all? Good afternoon and welcome to this CMA final indirect taxes revision series. Quickly in the comment section, give me a thumbs up that the audio, video, everything is clear. You're all energized, charged up and ready for the revision. Just drop a lot of heart, fire, bomb emojis in the comment section. As we all know, that is how we exchange the energies. Chalo. We are live. Just give me a confirmation about audio and video so that I can start with the revision series. Yes. Hi everyone. My health is absolutely fine now. Thank you guys. Chalo. So before starting, 2-3 things that I wanted to tell you. So this revision that we are doing is for November 24 and May 25 examinations. This revision series is going to be in 100% English language. Ma'am, what about Hindi students? Do not worry. Hindi revisions which are uploaded for May 24 are absolutely 100% relevant for November 24 examinations also. I have shared the amendment sheet with you on the Telegram channel. So you can just see that amendment sheet. There are hardly 1 or 2 amendments only. So you can see otherwise than that all the chapters as it is which were there for May 24 are applicable for November 24. Ma'am, which means you are not going to take new revisions of Hindi. Of course I am going to take, but first we will complete the English revision series and then we will start with Hindi series. Hindi students also understand English, of course. So you can refer these videos also, May 24 videos also, or just wait for 1 week when I start the Hindi revision classes. This particularly is going to be in 100% English. Ma'am, what is the target? The target is that any time if you have studied IDT for once or twice, this revision is going to give you that extra confidence. This revision is going to smooth out everything for you. Everything from the version 4 of the notes. These revision classes that I am taking is from the version 4 of the notes. The handwritten notes that we use in the regular class, that we use in the power batch, are the same notes that we are using in this revision series also. So from this book, I will try to cover at least more than 80% of everything that is important, applicable for examination in these revision classes. Just if you have revised even once and you are here with me, not even revised, so if you have studied even once and you are here with me, you will be able to recall everything. That is all. Now as and when we start, you will understand everything automatically. Chalo. Everyone here energized? Done, ma'am. Quickly like the video, yaar. We at least have a like target of 300 plus likes on this video. Come on, we can do it. 300 plus likes on this video. Everyone. Done, ma'am. Chalo. So today's target is to finish off supply, composite and mixed supply, charge, composition levy and registration. Done. So this chapter number 1, which is GST in India and introduction, this is given in your module as an annexure to the chapter of supply. So the chapter of supply has an annexure named GST in India and introduction where all of these details are given, but they themselves in module have written that this is not applicable for examination. Now because this is not applicable for examination, it doesn't make any sense for us to cover it right now in the revision series, because this revision I'm going to keep extremely crisp so that you can listen to it at least 2-3 times and also that one day before examination. So we'll try and not waste a single minute in these revision series so that this becomes highly efficient and effective for you to listen one day prior to exam also. So we straight away jump to important terms. Chalo. Now I expect you all to give me answers because this session of course is going to be at least for 3.5 to 4 hours. So I need to keep you energized and you need to keep me energized. So keep giving me answers in the comment section, all the senses involved here. So let us now start with important terms. First of all, taxable event. For any tax regime to trigger the levy of tax, there has to be a taxable event. Just like when you earn income, there is income tax. When you do import or export, there is customs duty. Similarly, what transaction or what activity particularly when occurs, it triggers in the levy of GST. That activity is supply. So in GST we have one whole and sole comprehensive taxable event, which is supply. GST means goods and services tax. GST, goods and services tax, essentially a kind of tax which is levied on goods and services. What of goods and services? Simply this mobile phone is a goods. It is lying here, which means GST will start to apply on it. The answer is no. The goods or services have to be supplied. If at all there is a supply of goods or services, only then GST can be levied. Right? GST is levied on all the persons. Ma'am, who are person under GST? The definition of person is same as the definition that you study in your Income Tax Act. Means person does not only mean an individual. No. Person is a very broad term which covers individual, company, trust, AOP, BOI, LLP, artificial juridical person, cooperative societies, government authorities, local bodies, everything, every person that you can think of is a person only under GST. So whenever the question or the sentence says that a person is paying tax, doesn't mean an individual is paying tax. It could be individual also, but person being a very broad term, it could be individual, Hindu undivided family, company, firm, LLP, AOP, BOI, corporation, almost everyone here are person, not relevant for exam. What is relevant for exam is the definition of goods, because ma'am, you just now said GST is applicable on goods and services, which means on something. For GST to apply, it has to be either goods or services. If it is neither of goods nor services, then GST cannot apply on it only. So first of all, we understand the definition of goods. We break the definition of goods into three parts. Chalo with me everyone in the comment section. Goods means other than but includes. Goods means other than but includes. Goods means is very simple. Goods, anything that you can see, you can move. So every kind of movable property, we will say every kind of movable property is a goods. So whatever you see around you, it could be a pen drive, it could be a mobile phone, a water bottle, a calculator, medicines, makeup, stationery, everything that you can see, you can move is a movable property. Tell me, is land a movable property? No ma'am. Therefore land is not a good, because land is an immovable property. So goods can be all kinds of movable property only. Got it ma'am? Other than, now they are saying money and security. Money and security, these two things might be movable, but they will never be considered as goods. Ma'am, what is the meaning of money? Chalo, it is very simple. Money means Indian legal tender. What is Indian legal tender? In India, what currency do we use to undertake transactions? Ma'am, INR, Indian National Rupee. So INR is the Indian legal tender. It is money. Any foreign currency, even dollar, euro, pounds, everything is also money. Check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, everything. Basically, everything that is recognized by Reserve Bank of India that you can use as a medium of exchange to undertake any transaction. It is all money only. So today, let us say I give you a 100 rupee note and you give me 10 rupees ke 10 note. This is not a supply. This is not goods. This is not services, because the definition particularly says that money is not goods. The note you might think is a movable property, but still it is not goods. But it shall include any currency that is held for its numismatic value. It is not numismatic. I used to teach it as numismatic in all the batches. I actually recently got to know that I used to pronounce it wrong. It is not numismatic, it is numismatic. Now, what is the meaning of numismatic? See, understand. Let us say you are holding some ancient coins. Some ancient gold coins which were used as currency earlier. Today also they might be used. Let us say some 50 paisa coin, 25 paisa coin, a 1 rupee note, or you have some collection, a series of collection of notes. Now these things actually are money, but you are not going to use them as money. Why? Because you are going to use them as goods only. I have 1 rupee ke 100 notes. I have 100 notes of 1 rupee. So the value of this is actually 100 rupees. But since 1 rupee notes are so rare that people might even buy this 100 rupees, 1 rupee note for, let us say, 250 rupees, which means I am basically dealing in this currency only. I am selling currency and I am earning something. Now that is not money. In that case, if I am holding any kind of currency for its numismatic value, then in that case we call it as goods and not money. So that is going to be taxable under GST. Otherwise than that, Indian legal tender, foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, pay order, demand draft, commercial paper, certificate of deposit, everything that is recognized by RBI as a medium of exchange is not goods, therefore not taxable under GST. Got it, ma'am? So goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. We understood what is money. Now, ma'am, what is security? Again, very simple. Security is exactly same as you understand. Ma'am, what is security? Security means any kind of shares, stock, bond, debentures, mutual funds, government securities, right in government shares, also derivatives, which are forwards and futures, they are all considered as securities. Chalo, give me answer in the comment section. Only one catch. Let us say I am dealing in soybean forward. I am dealing in soybean forward and I decide to settle this forward using a physical delivery. I actually want to take the physical delivery when my forward or future contract expires and I will pay money against it. In this case, will this be considered as goods or it will be considered as security? Tell me. There can be two options possible whenever you are dealing in derivatives, right? You can either cash settle them. We can also call it as net settlement, where whatever is the actual gain or loss that is given and the underlying commodity on which the forward or future is done, that is never actually traded only. If this is the case where you are cash settling or net settling, then these kind of derivatives are considered as securities only and securities are not goods, therefore no GST applicable. But in case you decide to take physical delivery of the underlying commodity on which you are doing forwards, futures, derivatives, then in that case these will be considered as goods because you are actually dealing in those goods and therefore GST becomes applicable. Otherwise than that, let us say you normally purchase any shares, stock, bonds, debentures, you would have noticed that you are never required to pay GST on the same. Okay, so going back to definition of goods. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes. Now we are saying there are some things which are actually not movable property. So they do not fall under the definition of goods by this term, movable property, but we still want to consider them as goods only. What are these? These are actionable claims or growing crops. Actionable claims, growing crops, grass, basically anything that is attached to land, anything that is attached to land or forming part of land. Now understand, land is an immovable property. So if anything is attached to land, that also automatically becomes immovable property. But we want to still consider these kinds of crops, grass or anything that is attached to land as goods only. If we have today agreed that in future we are going to cut these crops and sell them separately, we do not use the word cut, we use the word sever. So we are going to sever these crops from the land under a contract of supply, then these things today also will be considered as goods only. So there is this land where some crops are growing. Now the farmer has already agreed that these crops will be severed from the land and then they will be supplied. Then these crops today, even if they are attached to the land, will be considered as goods only, even though they are immovable. Right. And actionable claims, ma'am, what are actionable claims? Anything which can be contingent, happening, non-happening, accruing, conditional, you don't know. These things could be lottery, betting, gambling, claim to any unsecured debt, which you are not certain whether it is going to happen or not. But in case it happens, the civil courts of India recognize these kind of claims. You can go to the court and take an action against these claims. They are known as actionable claims. No need to learn the definition. You only need to learn the definition of goods. No need to learn the definition of money, security or actionable claim. This is only for your understanding. So we are saying actionable claims means any debt. other than secured debt. So in simple terms, you can say unsecured debt. So any debt which is other than secured or which is other than hypothecated, nothing is pledged against it, which means it is a pure unsecured debt. Now you are not sure about receiving the unsecured debt, but if in case you are having a claim, you can go to civil court and the court is going to recognize this and they are going to grant you some kind of a relief. So this could be any beneficial interest that could be existent, accruing, conditional or contingent. Doesn't matter, they are all actionable claims only. In simple term, claims against which you can go to civil court and take action are all actionable claims. So here we finished the definition of goods, which says goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. Money and security might be movable, but still they will never be considered as goods and GST will never be levied on them. But includes, now these things even if not movable still will be considered as goods only. Actionable claims, growing crops, grass and anything that is attached to land or forming part of land which is agreed to be severed under a contract of supply, everything is considered as goods. We understood what is money, we understood what is securities, we understood what is actionable claim. Now you need to learn 6 specified actionable claims. Why, ma'am? Because in GST, all other actionable claims are treated in a separate way, whereas these particular 6 specified actionable claims are treated in some another way. What is this different treatment? That I will explain you in section 7 in the chapter of supply. For now, what you need to know is only the names of these specified actionable claims. That for these things, government has made separate valuation rules. Government has explained their taxability differently as compared to the normal actionable claims. So anyone in the comment section, can you tell me what are the names of these 6 specified actionable claims? See, even for students who are not viewing these revisions live today, but then you are viewing them in a recorded mode, please sit with a rough sheet and a pen. So whenever I tell you give me answer, at least you all in recorded mode can take the full feel and scribble things in your rough sheet. It will help you to retain things for longer. So do not just sit like this and look at me. Anyways, you're not allowed to do that. So look at the screen, listen to my voice and scribble along with me. That will help you to remember things for very long. Okay, so which are the 6 specified actionable claims under GST? Very simple they are. Lottery, betting, gambling. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Very simple. This lottery, betting, gambling you can remember together only. Lottery, betting, gambling, and then 3 more which are online money gaming, horse racing and casino. These 6 are specified actionable claims for which we have separate rules available in GST law. There is nothing to explain as such. This is simply a list that you have to learn. So betting, casino, gambling, horse racing, lottery and online money gaming. Cool. Now we discuss about services, because GST is essentially a tax which is levied on goods and services. We understood the definition of goods. Now moving on to definition of services. Again, the structure remains the same for you to remember. Services means other than but includes. Services means other than but includes. The format is same so that it is easy for you to remember. Now services means they are saying anything. Wow, such a beautiful definition. They are saying services means anything, something that you can see, not feel, anything. Anything is a service only. Other than, they are saying goods, money and security. See, first you have to see the definition of goods. So if something is movable, particularly falling under the definition of goods, then it has to be goods only. Money and security, I've already explained you what is money, what is security. Money and security particularly are excluded from definition of goods also, and they're excluded from definition of services also. So money and security are neither goods nor services. If something is goods, then you particularly consider them in the definition of goods only. Other than that, if anything is remaining, happening, that is all considered as services only. What is the but includes part saying? But includes is saying we understood money is neither goods nor services. Securities are neither goods nor services. But facilitating the transactions. Facilitating. facilitating the transactions for the use of money, where you are converting money of one form, currency or denomination into another form, currency or denomination, for which you are charging a separate consideration, that will be considered as a service. See, the language is very simple. I'll make you learn it right here only. What they are saying, money is not services, but activities which are relating to the use of money, where you are converting cash or any other form of money from one FCD to another FCD. What is FCD? Form, currency, denomination, to another form, currency, denomination, for which you are charging a separate consideration, that is considered as service. Let us say I converted 500 rupee denomination note into 50 notes of 10 rupee. Will this be considered as a service? No, ma'am. Because simply there is a change of one denomination to another denomination, but separate consideration is not charged. No, I gave you 500, you also gave me 500. It is not services. But if I give you 500 ka note and you give me only 9 notes of 50 rupees, saying that, ma'am, who in this world today will give you change? I am giving you change. Therefore, I will charge a consideration of 50 rupees to give you change. Now here, because I have given a consideration of 50 to change my money from one form currency denomination to another form currency denomination, therefore that will be considered as services. So pure money, pure securities are not services, neither goods. But dealing in money, using money, converting money, facilitating transactions and security, what we are saying, facilitating transactions and security, it will all be considered as services. So let us say today I purchased one share of Reliance. I purchased a share of Reliance, then whatever price I am paying towards the share of Reliance, no GST will be applicable, because share being a security is neither goods nor services. But if I have to pay some kind of a commission or agency charges, intermediary charges, then those charges are levied because they are facilitating transactions and security. So those commission, agency, brokerage charges will be considered as service and taxable under GST, but pure money and pure security will not be considered as services. Say yes or no. Dil dil agag bomb bomb. And what is dil dil agag bomb bomb? Heart, heart, fire, fire, bomb, bomb emojis. As and when we keep completing one or the other topic, you have to, without even me saying, drop heart, heart, fire, fire, bomb, bomb emojis in the comment section. Chalo. Is the definition of goods and services absolutely clear to us, along with the meaning of money, security and actionable claim? Right, ma'am. Now moving on to next definition, which talks about related person. Ma'am, why do we have to understand the meaning of related person? Because GST being a tax law, of course people are going to try and do some kind of transactions with their related persons and try to escape GST. Therefore, for these people, government has made separate rules at a lot of places. So every time I will not keep explaining you the meaning of related person. We study it here once, and then for entire GST, whenever related person word is mentioned, you have to remember SOFA corpus. Please do not write this in examination. This is a technique for us to remember. SOFA corpus. Now, who are the related person in GST? A mnemonic which says SOFA corpus. Ma'am, what is SO? SO means sole agent or sole distributor. So means sole agent or sole distributor. See, not every agent is my related person under GST. Not every agent is my related person under GST. Only and only sole agent. Let us say whatever I sell, no, I sell everything through a single person only. I have only one sole agent. Then that sole agent will be considered as my related person. Whereas let us say I sell my lectures through a lot of agents. Now today my classes you can purchase from except from Fast website. You can purchase the classes from like Conferenza, Make My Delivery or Smart Learning Destination, CA Point. There are a lot of agents who are selling lectures on my behalf. They are all not my related person. If I decide to sell or purchase everything to a single person only, then that single person, sole agent, sole distributor, will be considered as my related person. FA means family. Now the family under GST is extremely simple and sorted. Family says that your spouse and your children, includes the step children also, and there is no concept of step spouse, of course. So spouse and children are always relative. Always, always. So my husband or for a guy, wife would always be related person. You do not have to see any other thing, like whether they are dependent on you, not dependent on you, doesn't matter. Your children and your spouse are always, always going to be your related person only. But your parents, grandparents, brother and sister, only real brother, real sisters are included here, and there is no concept of real parents again. Basically, step parent if you have, they are also included. So brother and sister has to be real brother sister. Not even first cousins are allowed here, like my uncle's son, my uncle's daughter, my masi bua's son. No, only and only real brother, real sister, parents and grandparents. If they are dependent on the person, if they are dependent, even if partially dependent, it is okay, still will be considered as related person, family under GST. Other than these people, if they tell you about mama, masi, bua, chacha, chachi, anyone, none of them are your related person. Only and only spouse, children, always related person. Parents, grandparents, brother and sister. Not even brothers, wife or sister's husband. No, nobody. Only parents, grandparents, brother and sister. These four people will be related if they are dependent, whereas spouse and children will be always considered as my related person under GST. Right, ma'am. Then COPS. C means if there is a relationship of control. Let us say entity A controls entity B. How entity A has the power to appoint all the directors in company B. There is a relationship of control, so AB becomes related person. Let us say A holds 95% shares of C, which means of course the full control on C is of A, so A and C are related. And here one more point says that if two people are controlled by a same person, let us say company A controls B also, company A controls C also. So AB, AC are related, no doubt about it. But we are saying B and C will also be considered as related person. So two people who are controlled by a common person, these two people also become related person. So you always have to remember this triangle. Say yes or no. Let us say this is mom, this is me, and this is my brother. So my mom controls me, yes, therefore we are related. Mom controls brother, yes, therefore they are also related. But me and brother, being two people controlled by a common person, which is our mom, we both also become related person under GST. Right, ma'am. Then O means officer or director. Officer or director in one another's business. So let us say Mr. A. Mr. A is a director of ABC Limited. Mr. A is a director of ABC Limited. Of course, they are related. Director is always related to the company. Also, let us say Mr. A is a director in ABC Limited. And there is the Mr. B, who is a director in another, like there are two companies, let us say XYZ Limited and ABC Limited. Now, Mr. A, being director of XYZ, is also director of ABC, and Mr. B, who is a director of ABC, is also director of XYZ. Basically, there are two people who are officer or director in one another's business. I have a business, my brother has a business. I am a director in my brother's business. My brother is a director in my business. Then we both also become related person. Let us say company ABC Limited has three directors, Mr. A, Mr. B and Mr. C. They are not related. But there is a company XYZ Limited where B, C and X are there as a director. Now in this case, because B and C are director of this company also, they are director of this company also, and B and C being director of this company also are director of this company also, which means they are officer or director in one another's business. Therefore, they both become a related person and not A and X. This is not very important for examination purpose also. I just taught you for your FYI information knowledge purpose. Otherwise, you can simply remember as officer or director in one another's business, and also direct directorship relationship always of course will be considered as related person. Then P means legally recognized partners. Legally recognized partners. Now here we say if there is ABC partnership firm, in which there are three directors A, B and C, then all of the three will be considered as relatives amongst themselves only. So all the partners of a partnership firm become related person automatically. So P means legally recognized partners. Then E means employer-employee relationship. So an employer is always and always related to employee. And then we have S, which says shares. If you are holding greater than equal to 25% of the shares, greater than equal to 25% of the shares. So if A holds, let us say 30% shares in B, they are related. A holds, let us say, 80% shares in C, again they are related. And in this case also, B and C will also be considered as related person. So just like we understand the triangle in control ka relationship, the same triangle also exists for shares, which means if a single person holds more than equal to 25% of the shares in two or more company, if a single person holds more than equal to 25% shares in two or more companies, then these two or more companies also become related person. Stepfather, yes, stepfather will also be a related person. I said no. Parents, if they are dependent, if your stepfather is dependent on you, then he will be a related person. Okay, so this is the definition of related person so far, Copes. So means sole agent, sole distributor. Fa means a family, where we say spouse and children are always relative, whereas parents, grandparents, brother and sister will be only relative if they are dependent on us. Control also includes two entities controlled by a common person. Officer, director in one another's business, legally recognized partners, employer, employee, and shares greater than equal to 25%, which also includes third person holding in both of them. Ma'am, what is the difference between control and the shares ka point? Understand, if company A has a power to appoint all the directors of company B, there is still a control ka relationship even without owning any shares. There could be something which gives you entire control over the entire entity, then that control itself can become your basis of determining relationship. See, anyways, more than 50% can be considered as control only, right? If you hold more than 50% shares of any company, automatically control relationship is established. But even if it is less than 50%, no, still due to some other reasons, you might still be having control over that entity. You can take key decisions of that entity. You can appoint directors of that entity. In all of those cases also, you become a related person. Associate enterprise, not important for you to remember here, because associate enterprise definition is the same definition that you learn in your Income Tax Act transfer pricing topic, section 92A. In GST, question will always mention if they are associate enterprises, or they will give you a solid hint like we have this much shareholding, something like this, and you will automatically understand that they are associated enterprises. So for GST, you can ignore this. Go and learn associate enterprise in your transfer pricing topic, section 92A of Income Tax Act. Okay, ma'am, what is business? Again, not very important for examination purpose, but we understand that business simply means anything that you are doing as your trade, commerce, profession, vocation, everything is business only. Your intention to do business matters, and not your actual volume, frequency, continuity, nothing matters. What matters is your intention to do the business, not your volume, continuity, frequency. Let us say in entire year, I was able to sell only and only 2 lectures. One for May attempt and one for November attempt. That is all. I sold only 2 lectures. Bhagwan, please don't listen to me. I sold only 2 lectures for the entire financial year. Still, this selling of lectures will be considered as my business? The answer is yes. What is your volume, your frequency, your continuity? Doesn't matter. What was the intention? Business, it becomes business only. Also, ma'am, even if I'm not making a monetary gain, then let's say I'm making a loss out of my business, still it will be considered as your business only. Anything that is connected to your business also becomes your business. Let us say my business is of selling clothes. I sell clothes basically, but to set up my shop for selling clothes, what I did, I purchased some wooden almirahs. Or in which I am going to arrange my clothes. Now in that case, that purchase or sell of furniture is not my core business, but still I am purchasing or selling these furnitures in connection of my original business. Then that purchase of furniture will also be considered as a part of my business only. So we are saying any activity which is incidental or ancillary to your business. Now see, Printing books is not my business. Taking lectures is my business. But to take lectures, I also have to give books to students. Therefore, I have to get my books printed. It is incidental to my main business. That also becomes my business. So we are saying any activity, any nature, any frequency, any volume doesn't matter. Only it is not a prerequisite. Simply, whatever trade, commerce, manufacture, profession you are doing, even if there is a loss, there is no monetary benefit, still it will be considered as business only. Even if you are selling or acquiring some goods or capital goods or services in connection with your business, that also becomes your business. Any club, association which is charging membership fees from the students, which is charging membership fees from the members, then that club or association is also doing a business. Let us say, to enter a zoo, to enter a theme park or a snow world or a concert, you need to purchase ticket for that place. To take admission at some premises, you need to pay consideration. Then that is also a business. Charging from people just so that they can take admission at a place, that is also a business. You are holding some kind of a post, and to hold that office or post, you are charging some remuneration, that is also business. A horse race club, that is also business. Government doing something is public authorities, everything is business under GST. Whether you are earning out of it, not earning out of it, nothing is relevant. Your intention is business, it is all business only. Who is a supplier under GST? Now see, understand, we'll take a diagram. Let's say we have Tamanna here. आजकल जीने की तमन्ना है, आज फिर मरने का इरादा है. So we have Tamanna here and we have Dakshu here. Chalo. So Tamanna is running a grocery store. Dakshu comes to Tamanna and purchases a chocolate. So Tamanna is giving a chocolate to Dakshu and Dakshu is paying, let us say, 20 rupees to Tamanna. Now, what all things are involved here? Chalo, tell me who is supplier and who is recipient? Who is supplier and who is recipient? Quickly. Ma'am, because Tamanna is the person supplying the goods, therefore Tamanna becomes the supplier, and Dakshu, because he is paying consideration, therefore Dakshu becomes the recipient. And why is chocolate goods, ma'am? How did you conclude that chocolate is goods? Because goods means anything that is movable property, and chocolates are movable property. Therefore we will say that chocolate is goods. And what is 20 rupees? 20 rupees is the consideration that is paid against the supply of goods or services. Now in this case, four words are involved: supplier, recipient, goods and consideration. I've already explained you what is goods. Now we need to understand who is a supplier, who is a recipient and what is consideration. If we understand this, then automatically an entire transaction will be covered and all the terminologies that are used in a transaction will be clear to us. Right, ma'am. Then who is a supplier? Supplier means any person who is supplying the goods. Hey, wow, ma'am. So this is the definition. I cannot help. Supplier means any person supplying the goods or services or both. So supplier in relation to any goods, services or both shall mean the person who is supplying the said goods or services or both. And let us say there is an agent who is acting on behalf of principal and then supplying these goods, services or both. Then that agent will also be considered as supply, doesn't matter. So we are saying shall include an agent also who is acting on behalf of such supplier in relation to goods, services or both being supplied. So the definition is literal time pass, which says supplier means a person supplying goods, services both, also includes the agent. Now what they are saying, provided that, let us say there is a person who is arranging or organizing some kind of actionable claims. Like, let us take an example of an online game. Okay, on an electronic platform, on a digital or electronic platform, there is some betting happening or there is some online game, online money game happening. Now in this case, the player will be paying money or money's worth or virtual digital asset to participate in that actionable claim. So whoever is the person who is charging this monetary value, or the virtual digital asset, then that person who is arranging all the actionable claims and collecting this money from the people, that person only becomes the supplier of those actionable claims. What we are saying, provided that there is any person who is organizing or arranging anything, directly or indirectly, doesn't matter, on an online platform, whether such actionable claims are supplied by him, through him, doesn't matter, whether consideration is received in money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset, doesn't matter. If you are receiving money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset to arrange or organize any kind of actionable claim online on an electronic platform, then you only become the supplier of those actionable claims. And just like the GST provisions apply on any normal supplier, and he has to file returns and everything, collect GST, pay GST, you also will become liable as a normal supplier under GST. So we are saying that all the provisions of this act shall apply to such supplier of specified actionable claims as if he is only the supplier liable to pay tax in relation of those actionable claims. It is only important for your understanding purpose, not at all important for examination purpose. Like they will never ask you, chalo, write the definition of supplier. No, you should only understand that whoever is organizing such actionable claims, no, and receiving money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset, they only become the supplier of such actionable claims. Got it, ma'am? Then who is the recipient, ma'am? See, if at all consideration is payable, if for a particular transaction consideration is payable, then the person who is liable to pay the consideration, if the consideration is payable, then the person liable to pay the consideration becomes the recipient. If at all consideration is not payable only, let us say I gave free samples for whatever goods I am dealing in. I gave free samples to my customers. Now in that case, because I am giving free samples, that person is not required to pay me any consideration anytime. Then what to do? Then whoever is enjoying these goods or services, no, the person to whom these goods are delivered or the services are rendered, that person becomes the recipient of such supply. And just like the definition of supplier includes agent of supplier in it, the definition of recipient also includes agent of recipient in the definition. I'll simply ask you one quick question and then we shall proceed further. Let us say I, Riddhi, went to Chroma store to purchase a laptop for my business. I went there and I purchased the laptop also, and suddenly I realized that I forgot my wallet at the home. I met Mukta there. Mukta had also come to purchase some earphones, and she saw me at the billing counter, and she was like, what happened, ma'am? I said, Mukta, I forgot my wallet, I forgot my phone, everything, and I want to purchase this laptop. She said, no problem, ma'am, I'll pay. We can adjust this thing later on, you can pay me and we'll finish it off. Now in this case, we know Chroma is the supplier, because Chroma is the one who has supplied these goods named as laptop. But who is the recipient here, Riddhi or Mukta? My question is, who is the recipient here, Riddhi or Mukta? I was to actually pay the amount of laptop, but Mukta paid due to any reason, or I told her to pay. Now in this case, who is going to be the recipient, Riddhi or Mukta? Chalo, quick, everyone will give me answer. In this case, ma'am, Riddhi is only going to be the recipient, because the definition never said the person who is paying the consideration becomes recipient. No, we are going to say the person who is liable to pay the consideration becomes the recipient. Riddhi was only always liable to pay consideration for this laptop. She only got this laptop in her business, started using it, availed ITC, everything. Mukta was just a person who paid this amount on her behalf. And therefore, we are going to say whoever is the person liable to pay becomes the recipient. Because invoice was in my name, I was the person liable to pay. Therefore, I only become the recipient and not Mukta. She just paid on my behalf and we'll adjust it later on. Got it, ma'am? Then understanding the word consideration. Consideration simply means anything that you are paying to avail the service or goods. Basically, any supply. To avail any supply, if you are paying anything. Now, payment not necessarily always has to be in money terms only. We can enter into a barter transaction also. Doesn't matter. Where you supply me wheat, I supply you rice, it's okay. The payment is not in money terms, but the payment is in some otherwise terms. That is also considered as consideration only. So we are saying that consideration means for any supply, either you are making payment in money or you are making payment otherwise. Doesn't matter. Payment recipient can also make, or just like in the above example we took, I was the one who was liable to pay, but I told Mukta to pay on my behalf, that is okay. So recipient can also tell some another person to pay the consideration, which is also fine. So we are simply saying anything that you are paying, be it money, be it otherwise, to avail the supply on your own, or you are telling some other person to pay on behalf of you as a recipient, it is all okay. Everything will be considered as consideration only. Also, any monetary value that you are paying to do something or to not do something, that is also a consideration. And let us assume we have Aishwarya here. Why all girls today, right? Janani, Mukta, Siddhi, Aishwarya, Tamanna. Where are the guys? Where are the guys, or they are not active in the comment section? I don't know. I can see all girls only answering. Love you all. Chalo. So now here we are saying, let us say Aishwarya became CA Aishwarya. Aishwarya is now CA Aishwarya and she scored 93 marks in IDT. Oh my god, yes. She scored 93 marks in IDT and she was so confident. She called me and ma'am, I scored 93. I was like, oh wow, so happy for you Aishwarya, congratulations. I asked her, so now applying in which company? She said, no, I'm so confident with IDT. I'm now going to start teaching IDT. I'm now going to start teaching IDT. And I was like, shit, oh my god, what is this? I got 82, you got 93, and now you want to teach IDT. She's like, ma'am, everything is so clear to me. I was like, no. You keep this 30 lakh rupees from me. You keep this 30 lakh rupees from me. Go and do something else, but you will not enter teaching. Which means I have given some money or monetary value to not do something or to do something. Then this 30 lakh will also be considered as consideration only. So monetary value of any act or to forbear is also known as consideration only. Right. But if at all you are receiving any subsidy, if you are receiving any subsidy from government, central government or state government, see, if you are receiving any subsidy from local authority, if you are receiving any subsidy from local authority, then this is known as consideration. This is known as consideration, but anything that you are receiving from central government or state government in nature of subsidy or incentive, that will never be considered as consideration under GST. Alright. Also, if you are giving any deposit to someone, I hope you understand the difference between advance and deposit. Anyone in the comment section? What is the difference between advance and deposit? Let us say I take a room in this PG. The rent of this room per month is 5,000 rupees. Now, if I give 15,000 as rent for 3 months advance, which means for next 3 months, I am not required to pay the rent because I have paid it in advance. But if I give 20,000 deposit, it means it is just a deposit which will lie with the owner. When I leave the house, this deposit will be given back to me. Or if I default in any of the payments, then this deposit is going to be used against it, which means it means advance is basically given for a supply of goods or services which will be adjusted against an invoice in the future. That is the consideration. But deposit, if you are giving, no, deposit is purely refundable in the nature, and therefore deposit, unless actually applied for the supply, will never be considered as consideration. So we are saying that deposit you can consider as payment only if it is actually applied for any supply. Otherwise than that, deposit is not a consideration, and central government, state government subsidy is not a consideration. Otherwise than that, all the money or monetary value that you are paying for a supply to do something, to not do something, everything is considered as consideration only. Chalo. Gauri Shankar is saying, Mera bhi naam le lo, ma'am. Chalo. Let us now take an example of Gauri Shankar. Now, whenever I say section 25 distinct person, what you are going to shout? Come on, my batch students will always shout. Whenever I say distinct person, what you are going to say? Same PAN, separate registration. Distinct person means same PAN, separate registration. Very good. This can be in same state also, in other state also, doesn't matter. The only condition is Same PAN, separate registration. Let us say we have Gauri Shankar here. Chalo. Gauri Shankar is an extremely rich person, like Mukesh Ambani takes loan from Gauri Shankar. Oh my God, yes. So, Gauri Shankar has multiple businesses and multiple branches across India. Multiple branches across India. He is having one shop in Ahmedabad, one shop in Mumbai, one shop in Chennai, one shop in Manipur, Hyderabad, Kerala. At a lot of places he is having establishments, he is having shops. Now here we are saying, because they all belong to Gauri Shankar only. He is the person having same PAN. He is the person having one PAN but a lot of separate registrations. Then all of these registrations in themselves are going to be known as distinct person. So the definition of distinct person is extremely simple. Whenever we say same PAN, separate registration, it is a distinct person. Right? It can be in same state, it can be in different state also. So let us take an example of Ahmedabad and Surat. Now for students who do not know, Ahmedabad and Surat, both cities are in Gujarat only. Both cities are in Gujarat only. So we have Devendra here. Let us say Devendra has one office in Ahmedabad and one office in Surat. And the question is silent about any other thing. Tell me, will these be distinct persons, yes or no? The owner is Devendra only. So Devendra is having one shop in Ahmedabad and one shop in Surat, both in Gujarat. That is what only the question says. He has supplied something from Ahmedabad to Surat branch. Will they be considered as distinct persons? Say yes or no quickly. Oh, Tamanna is from Surat. Great. I am from Ahmedabad. I was from Ahmedabad because now I am married and I have shifted to Ichalkaranji. Where is Ichalkaranji? It's near Kolhapur. Where is Kolhapur? It's in Maharashtra. Chal. So here we are saying because it is same PAN. It is same PAN. Devendra is the only owner, but there is no separate registration. Aishwarya, Mukta, listen. You both have given incorrect answer. It is same PAN, but it is not separate registration. No, because the person is required to take only one registration in one state, and therefore he can have multiple branches in a single state under a single registration only. Therefore, the condition of having separate registration is violated here. And if the question is silent, you will always assume that we have one registration in one state. If the question particularly mentions that within same state also they are separately registered, then you are going to say that yes, they are distinct person. So if you are transferring stock from Ahmedabad to Surat branch under same registration, they are not a distinct person. But if they are voluntarily within same state registered separately, then we will be considering them as distinct person. But if two cities of two different states are given, then we understand that under GST always mandatory separate registration for both the states have to be taken, and therefore if two states are given, then they automatically become distinct person. Alright, ma'am. What do we mean by the term establishment of distinct person? See, distinct person is related to registration. So, one registration and another registration can be considered as distinct person. Establishment means the place, the office, the place where I have actually got registration. If at all there is a one place, one establishment where I have registration, and if I have any other, in any other state or any other union territory, I have any other establishment. It might be registered, it might be unregistered. They are all known as establishment of distinct person. So let us say I have one registered restaurant in Surat and unregistered liquor shop in Goa. They cannot be considered as distinct persons, because for distinct person I need to have same PAN and separate registrations. PAN is the same here because restaurant is also mine and liquor shop is also mine, but there are no separate registrations. In two states I just have two establishments, then they become establishments of distinct persons. So a registered restaurant in Surat and an unregistered liquor shop in Goa are not distinct persons, but they are establishments of distinct persons. Alright, ma'am. What is the meaning of export of goods? Very simple. Export means taking goods out of India to a place outside India. So the moment I cross territorial waters of India, I take the goods from India to a place outside India, it becomes export of goods. Now goods you can physically see. Goods you can physically see. Therefore, I can see the goods going out of India. But services, I can only feel. Yes, I cannot see the services. I can only feel the services. So here we cannot have the condition of services going out of India. We need to have some other conditions, right? So the export of services point says that location of supplier has to be in India, of course. Location of recipient has to be outside India. Very simple. A person from India is providing some service to a person outside India. That can be export of service. The place of supply, according to provisions of IGST Act, should be also outside India. So, location of supplier is in India. Recipient outside India. Place of supply also outside India. Plus, there are two additional considerations in service that you should have received convertible forex as a consideration. Why government gives you benefits on exports? Because you earn forex for India. So it is very simple. See, in goods, so I can physically see the goods going out. Let us say for service, I said I gave consultancy to this person. I said I gave consultancy to Mr. John. Mr. John also said yes, that she gave consultancy to me. But what is the proof? If actually service has been provided, there should be some consideration that I'm receiving, no, as a convertible forex currency. For services, we have this condition that amount should be received by the supplier in convertible forex currency. If you are receiving these amounts through your Vostro accounts. Now, because we are in a revision session, I am not going to explain you what is Vostro accounts and everything. I believe you have already studied this in your AFM classes. But for you, very simple, what are Vostro accounts? When we Indian banks have an account in the foreign country and the foreign country bank have account here. We do not actually pay or receive forex currency. The person there deposits forex, but here you receive INR, you deposit forex here and they receive their own currency only. So if I am receiving INR permitted by RBI through these Vostro accounts, then it is okay. Otherwise, for all kinds of export of services, I should receive convertible forex only. And the last condition says that we both should not be mere establishment of distinct person. We both should not be mere establishment of distinct person, not like my own office branch is only there, my own representational branch is also there, and just to claim export benefits, I am showing that I have given export services to my own branch. No, that is not allowed. So supplier has to be in India, the recipient has to be outside India, place of supply has to be outside India. Then we are saying that we should actually receive forex, convertible forex, INR allowed in some cases where RBI permits, like Vostro account. And plus, we should not be mere establishment of distinct person. If all these conditions are satisfied, then we can say export of service has happened. But for export of goods, you do not need to see anything. Simply the moment goods are taken outside India, they become export of goods. Understood, ma'am? What is online gaming? Any game that you are playing online on an electronic network becomes online gaming. What is online money gaming? See, for online money gaming particularly, we are saying it is a kind of online game where the player is depositing something in an expectation to earn something. What can be that something? He can deposit any money's worth, or virtual digital asset. What are these virtual digital assets? Bitcoins, etc. Right. So we are saying whenever the player pays or deposits, money's worth, virtual digital asset. Why? Because he is in an expectation. Now expectations always kill, but it's okay. In an expectation of winning some more money's worth or virtual digital asset. Now you might name your event as a game, scheme, competition, activity, process, anything. For government, it is all online money gaming only. Like someone might argue that, ma'am, to play rummy, you actually need a skill. It is not simply a game of chance, or it includes skill or chance both. Doesn't matter. Government says everything is equal for us and everything is online money gaming for us. If at all you are depositing any money's worth virtual digital asset in an expectation to win, money's worth virtual digital asset in anything, you might name it as game, scheme, competition, activity, process, whether it is based on skill, chance, both, whether it is permissible, not permissible, doesn't matter for us. Everything is online money gaming only. Say yes or no, and here we complete the entire chapter of important terms. Everyone with me, quickly drop a lot of heart, fire, bomb emojis in the comment section. Chalo. And then we start with next chapter, which is supply under GST. Can we speed up a bit? Because this is revision and I'm explaining you everything. Chalo, chalo, chalo. You understood, you enjoyed, and you remembered things with me. Say yes or no. Got it, ma'am. Chalo. So now let us start with next chapter, which is supply under GST. Are you all ready with me? Yes, ma'am. Chalo. No, Siddhi. Only and only if you are receiving from central government, state government, then it is not a consideration. Any other authority or something like that of government, it is all consideration. Chalo, ma'am. Now is the time. Now is the time to start with CGST Act. Now, since it's already 1 hour, I believe we can speed up a little bit, right? Yes, ma'am. For any doubts that you're having, you can contact me on 9714111166. If you are a batch student, you can text in the batch specific Telegram group. If you are not a batch student, still you can ask the doubts to me on the Telegram group or personally on Telegram also. All the links are there in the comment section, because if I keep solving doubts right now for every single student, the revision will become long and less effective for you to refer on exam day. So please, unless it's extremely urgent, refrain from asking doubts as of now, and we can later on take your doubts after the session. Okay, ma'am. Chalo. Telegram link is there in description. You can join the Telegram channel and then ask me doubts there. Okay, let us now start with CGST Act. S for 7, S for supply, section 7, scope of supply. Without even me starting, I can see everyone answering S for 7, S for supply, section 7, scope of supply. 7.1 says supply includes. 7.1 says supply includes. 7.2 says no, wait, supply excludes. 7.3 says government has power to notify something as goods not services or something as services not goods. And 7.1a says that simply it gives us a list of schedule 2, which explains to us what is goods and what is services. So we have to study 4 subsections in section 7. 4 subsections in section 7. 7.1, what is included in supply? 7.2, what is excluded from supply? 7.3 is just a one-line section which says that government has power today to notify something as a supply of goods not service or supply of service not goods. And 7.1a simply gives us a list explaining to us what is goods and what is services. Starting with section 7.1, supply includes. We make 2 parts of section 7.1, supply includes. One, when the supply is made with consideration, and another when the supply is made without consideration. With consideration and without consideration. Now, section 7.1a simply says that all forms of supply, very simple, all forms of supply. Supply of what, ma'am? Supply of course, goods, services or both, because GST is only levied on goods, services or both. So supply, all forms of supply of goods, services or both. What could be possibly the forms of supply? Sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, everything. Sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, everything which you are doing of goods, services or both. Made or agreed to be made by a person in course furtherance of business. So we are saying if any supply is happening for consideration, if any supply is happening for consideration, it includes all forms of supply. All forms of supply of goods, services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, made or agreed to be made by a person in course furtherance of business, it is all considered as supply. Now, which simply means if let's say I'm selling my earrings for my personal purpose. I was in a need of money and I sold my earrings. Now, I sold it for a consideration. Yes. Are earrings goods? Yes. Am I selling it? Yes. Am I a person? Yes. But if it is not business purpose, it will not be considered as supply under GST. So you have to fulfill all the conditions if the supply is for a consideration, which means if no consideration, then no supply. Anytime I give these earrings to you for free, then it will not be a supply because there is no consideration only. Right, ma'am. 7.2b says that if there is import of services, and we are only talking about import of services, not import of goods, because import of goods are dealt with Customs Act and we are currently studying GST Act. So import of goods is dealt with Customs Act. Therefore, only and only section 7.1b includes import of services, and the common condition still remains same for a consideration. So if you are importing any service for a consideration, be it business purpose, be it personal purpose, purpose doesn't matter here, because in point number A we had to see business purpose, but point number B simply says that if you are importing any service, it can be business purpose, it can be personal purpose, doesn't matter, it will always be a supply. Now remember one thing, just because something is a supply doesn't mean it will be applicable to GST, because there are a lot of things which fall under the definition of supply, like importing services for personal purpose is a supply, but in exemption chapter we will see that a lot of exemptions are given with respect to same. So something becoming supply doesn't mean automatically GST will be applicable on it. Something becoming supply doesn't mean automatically GST will be applicable on it, but for GST to be applicable, there has to be a supply. A simple example, no, if you want to marry me, you have to be a boy. If you want to marry me, you have to be a boy. Doesn't mean if anyone is a boy, I will marry them. Simply, for us to GST to apply, there has to be a supply. Doesn't mean for every supply GST will be applicable. So do not confuse this. So import of services for personal purpose is a supply, but we will see exemptions with respect to same in exemption chapter. Okay, then 7.1AA says that any activity or transaction which is happening between a person who is not an individual, let us say a club, an association, a society, something like that, and they are doing transactions with their own members only. Let us say members of housing society paying maintenance to the housing society, members of a club paying membership fees to the club, which means the own members or own constituents are giving cash, deferred payment or any consideration to this person who is not individual, then this will also be considered as supply under GST. Why? Because the club is a different entity and the members of club are separate. Society is separate, the members of society is separate. So the explanation says that person and its constituents are treated as two separate persons, and therefore this will be considered as a supply under GST. What are we studying? We are studying section 7.1, which says supply includes. 7.1a says all forms of supply, 7.1b says that import of service, and 7.1AA says that a person other than individual doing activities or transactions with own members or constituents. But one common condition for all of them is there has to be a consideration. There has to be a consideration, which means a golden rule is simply says no consideration, no supply. So for any transaction, if there is no consideration, it can never be supply. There are only and only 4 transactions specified in Schedule 1. Section 7.1c, read with Schedule 1. Only 4 paras which are given here are considered as supply even without consideration. Other than these 4 activities, if anything is happening without consideration, the golden rule simply says that no consideration, no supply. So what are these? What are these 4 activities under Schedule 1 which can be considered as supply even without consideration? Para number 1 says that permanent transfer of business asset on which ITC is availed. If you are permanently, for free, without any consideration, selling or disposing or transferring your any business asset on which you had availed ITC at the time of purchase of this asset, then it is going to be supply under GST. Let us say a holding company, while purchasing assets, had taken ITC and now they are transferring this asset to their own subsidiary company free of cost for nil consideration. This will also be considered as supply under GST. Let us say this calculator is my business purpose calculator. When I purchased, I took ITC of the same. And now Manikanta asked this calculator from me, so I gave him this calculator free of cost. So my asset I am transferring permanently free of cost, on which I had availed ITC. That also becomes a deemed supply without consideration under GST. So three conditions: permanent transfer, business asset on which ITC had been availed. Next point says that if there is any supply between related person and distinct person, but it has to be for course furtherance of business. Who are related person? Sofa copes. Who are distinct person? Same PAN, separate registration. So if any supply is happening between these related or distinct persons for business purpose, it will be considered as supply even without consideration. Let us say my Ahmedabad branch is transferring stock to my Mumbai branch. They are both distinct person, so stock transfer between branches without consideration for business purpose, it is also considered as supply. But let us take an example. I gifted a ring to my husband. Is my husband related person? Yes, because husband is a spouse and spouse is always related. I gave him goods. Ring is a good. But is it for business purpose? No. This ring that I have gifted to my husband is for personal purpose, and therefore that will not be considered as deemed supply. Only and only supply between related person and distinct person, which are for business purpose free of cost without consideration, will also be considered as deemed supply. But for employer-employee relationship, if the employer is gifting something to employee, then up to gifts of 50,000 per year, up to gifts of 50,000 per annum, it will not be considered as a supply. So if I give something, some kind of an incentive which is not a part of salary, over and above salary, I was extremely happy with the performance, so I decided to give some gift to my employee. So up to 50,000 gift I am giving in a year, it will not be supply. But if anything is above 50,000, no. Let us say I gave a gift worth 75,000. Then entire 75,000 will be considered as supply only. Not like, you do not think of it as 25,000 which is above 50,000 will only be supply. No, 50,000 is just a checkpoint. If it is up to 50,000, no supply. If it is above 50,000, then entire amount is going to be supply only. If agent is transferring goods to principal or principal is transferring goods to agents and services are not covered here, we take only and only goods here, no services. So if an agent is transferring goods to principal and principal is transferring goods to agent, even without consideration, that will be treated as supply. And last point says that import of service, again, why not goods? Because goods are dealt with particularly under customs. So if I am importing services with consideration, it is always supply. If I am importing service without consideration, then I have to check for two conditions. If both the conditions are satisfied, then import of service even without consideration will be treated as supply under GST. So import of service without consideration has to be from related person or own establishment outside India, and plus it has to be in course furtherance of business. If both the conditions are fulfilled, then import of service without consideration will also be treated as supply. Let us take this example. Now see, you can self-read what is the meaning of sale, transfer, barter, exchange. This is literal time pass, which I am not doing in revision classes. Okay. Chalo, we'll just cover it. Sale simply means if you are giving the title, entire ownership, entire title, it is sale. I am not giving title. I am simply giving these goods for you to use for some time and then give me back. I am giving you possession, I am giving you control. It is a transfer. Barter means exchanging goods or services for goods or services is a barter. Exchange means some money is involved. Like pure wheat for rice is a barter. But I gave you wheat and I took some money plus rice from you. Then it is an exchange. If along with goods services some money is involved, it becomes exchange. And license simple means if you are paying any amount to take some permission from some person, that becomes a license. Now these are all forms of supply only. Import of service, if you are doing with consideration, be it business, be it personal purpose, it is always a supply. But if import of service is happening without consideration, then what we just now saw, it has to be from related person, own establishment, plus it has to be in course furtherance of business, then it is a supply. Otherwise, no consideration, no supply. We move on to the golden general rule. Like this example, where Kriti obtained consultancy service from her son Now son, which means spouse and children, always related. So son is a related person. Staying in Germany. So I have availed some services from outside India, which is an import of service for office purpose without consideration. Without consideration means I will check Schedule 1, and according to Schedule 1 para 4. According to Schedule 1 para 4, import of service from related person in course furtherance of business without consideration is a deemed supply under section 71C Schedule 1 para 4. Understood. Remaining examples you can read. This was all about section 7.1, which says what is included in supply. Now we understand section 7.1a, which says that okay, if something is a supply, then please tell us whether it is supply of goods or it is supply of services. So the Schedule 2 of GST read with section 7.1a says that we understood it is a supply, but now we need to know whether it is supply of goods or it is supply of services. Being CA, CMA students, it is extremely simple for you to understand what is goods and what is services. Let's say you are permanently transferring something. You are giving the title only to someone, then it is goods, but you are not giving title. You are simply giving right to use. So you wanted to purchase this calculator from me, but I said, okay, what you can do is keep this calculator for 7 days, pay me 500 rupees, and later whenever you are returning it to me, it is okay, I will again take this back. I have never given you the title. I continue to be the owner. I just gave a right to you to use this calculator. Then it is not goods, of course, it is supply of services. But let us say we entered into a hire purchase kind of a transaction, where today I am giving you the possession of goods. Hire purchase or sale on approval or return basis, where today I am giving you the possession, but the title will transfer at a later date. Because what is the meaning of hire purchase? Today you take the goods, you pay the EMIs, and finally whenever you have paid all your EMIs, entire payment is done, then the title will be transferred to you. Now will this be a goods or service? We will say it will still be considered as goods only. Why? Because what is the intention? If not today, at a future date, we are going to transfer the title. Possession we have anyways given. Then let us consider these things as goods only. So hire purchase or sale on approval or return basis, where today you are giving possession, later on you are going to give title, then it becomes goods only. Now this is all very simple, right? If you are doing any kind of a job work, treatment, process on another person's goods, then it is a service. Or lease, tenancy, easement, hiring, letting out, it is all service. Permanently transferring, it is goods. Temporarily transferring, it is service. Then upon closure of your business, we know that if we have some kind of assets and we are closing the business permanently because we had taken ITC at the time of purchase, at the closure of business, again this will be considered as deemed transfer of goods. But if you are giving your business as a going concern to someone, or some representative is going to continue your business, then it will not be a deemed transfer of goods, because the goods will still continue to be used for a business purpose. But you simply close your business, you cease to be a taxable person, then whatever assets are lying with you, they will all be considered as deemed transfer, and it will be a transfer of goods only. Renting is services, construction is services, and we understand, see, immovable property. Immovable property under GST, if you are, let us say, selling any building, it is neither goods nor service. It can be service, it can be goods, but it is outside the purview of GST. Selling of a property is outside the purview of GST particularly. If it is completed land building, if I am dealing in completed land building, then no GST applicable, stamp duties, property taxes, etc. applicable. But the property is under construction, which means completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier, none of them is done yet. Neither completion certificate is issued nor first occupation is done. If I am paying the consideration before this, which means now the building is not there only. If something is not there only, it is under construction, how can I deal in this building, right? How can you break up if you are not in a relationship? Very simple. So if the building is not there, how can I even purchase that building? So if CC or FO, whichever is earlier, is not issued, then in that case, we will treat it as if we are paying the amount for construction service. So the word CCFO, whichever is earlier, the before word is very important. Why? Because if the consideration is paid after completion certificate or first occupation, then it will be treated as completed sale of land building, which is outside the scope of GST. Only if before CCFO amount is paid, then it is a construction service, right? Then temporary transfer of IPR is a service. development, upgradation, software, it is all services. Agreeing to do something, to not do something, to refrain from an obligation, it is all again supply of services. Then transfer of right, not the title, you are simply transferring the right, it is also supply of service. And particularly works contract and restaurant, government has mentioned this thing in schedule 2, making it very clear that if you go to a restaurant today, you enjoy food also and you enjoy the ambience also, you take services also, but we always are going to consider restaurant as a service only. Same is the case with works contract, because a works contractor provides you with a lot of goods also, like cement, steel, pipes, etc., and he provides the service also of constructing everything for you. But in both the cases, in restaurant as well as works contractor, we are going to say that it will always be treated as supply of service only according to section 7(1)(a) schedule 2, and we will never consider them as supply of goods. Section 7(3), very simple, that government may notify on recommendation of council some transactions to be treated as supply of goods, not services, or supply of services and not goods. It is all very simple. So we have completed section 7(1), 7(1)(a) and 7(3). Now moving on to last section for the chapter, which is section 7(2), which says supply excludes. What is not included in the list of supply? Supply excludes. Chalo, everyone with me. Section 7(2), supply excludes. We have 7(2)(a) and 7(2)(b). 7(2)(a) particularly talks about schedule 3 negative list. 7(2)(a) particularly talks about schedule 3 ka negative list. These things might be goods, might be services, might fall under the definition of supply, but we particularly want to exclude these things out of the definition of supply, and therefore we include them in negative list. And love you all, already everyone has answered in the comment section that ma'am, schedule 3 negative list is FB changes. Do not write this in examination. This is a personal mnemonic between you and me. Right. So FB changes is the negative list. Chalo, one by one, full form of FB changes, everyone. Ma'am, F means services of funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. So any service related to funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, or if the deceased means the dead body is transported from home to the crematorium place, then it is all not considered as supply under GST. Right. Then B means bond to bond transfer. B means bond to bond transfer, which means, let us say this is India. The goods are coming to India today, but I am not clearing these goods for home consumption. I am not clearing these goods for home consumption. I am depositing these goods into a bonded warehouse. Now, while my goods are lying in the warehouse, I decide to not clear these goods, but to sell these goods to some another person. So like this, when my goods are there in the bonded warehouse, I have not paid any GST, not any custom duty on this, because we pay all the duties while filing ex bond bill of entry, not while filing into bond bill of entry, right? So in this case, because I have not yet filed ex bond and I at this point of time transfer or sell my goods to some another person, this transaction is going to be exempt, or basically this transaction is not going to be supply only under GST. Later this person, when he will clear the goods from warehouse, no, at that point of time he is going to pay GST to government. Alright, so F means services of funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased. B means bond to bond transfer, supply of warehoused goods to any person before clearance for home consumption. C means services of court or tribunal. Of course, justice should be tax free for all of us. So to avail justice, if you are paying any fees in court or tribunal or even consumer dispute redressal commission, all of these fees that you are paying there will not be considered as supply and therefore not taxable under GST. H means high sea sale. High, what is high sea sale? Not the high that you are thinking. High sea sale means the goods, this is India, and let's say this is China, USA, whatever you want to take it. So the goods are actually moved from the port of exportation. So from here the goods are left. The goods are still in high sea, or even if the goods are reached here, I have not yet cleared them for home consumption, which means the goods have left the port of origin. The goods have already left the port of origin, the exporter's place, but they have not yet reached India, or even if they have reached India, they are still lying at the port. I have not cleared them for home consumption. During this time, if I sell these goods to someone else, then GST will not be applicable. Why? Because the person who will ultimately clear these goods for home consumption, no, at that point of time, he will pay custom duty plus GST. So high sea sale means supply of goods. High sea sale means supply of goods by consignee to any other person after the goods have been dispatched from the port of origin there located outside India, but before clearance for home consumption. So no bill of entry is filed. I have not yet cleared my goods, and if I sell these goods to someone else, no GST will be applicable, because now that someone else, while clearing the goods, will pay customs and GST. Okay, then A for actionable claims. So actionable claims according to definition are goods. Actionable claims according to definition are goods, but other than specified actionable claims. So we are saying all actionable claims, they are goods, but we want to exclude them from the definition of supply. So actionable claims are goods, but they are in negative list, and therefore no GST will be applicable on them. But we are saying other than specified actionable claims. So what are specified actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming, and casino. So these particular 6 specified actionable claims will be considered as supply. Other than this, all other actionable claims will not be considered as supply. Then N for goods moving from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India. So let us say the goods moved from China and they went to USA. They never even entered the India. The person who is arranging the transaction is an Indian person, but these goods never came to India. They left from China, they reached USA. So if something is not entering India only, then how can we levy GST on these things? So the goods, if moving from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India, it also falls under negative list, no supply under GST. Then G means, see, funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium, including transportation of deceased, bond-to-bond transfer, court tribunal, high sea sale, actionable claim other than specified actionable claim, one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India. G means government. Government means if I am a member of parliament, state legislature, panchayat, municipality, local authority, I am holding any post at, I am a constitution post holder, I am an officer in some government department company, then whatever I receive as a remuneration to serve these kind of places in government, no GST will be applicable. So basically all these ministers of parliament, whatever fees, whatever remuneration they charge, no, to go there and break the seats, to break the chairs, whatever remuneration they are charging, it is all not a supply under GST, and GST will not be applicable. E means employer-employee relationship. So basically salary. Salary is outside the purview of GST, and not just salary. Anything which forms part of cost to company. It could be salary, monetary benefits, perquisites, bonuses, facilities, whatever the company has agreed to give you as a part of your cost to company. It is all outside the purview of GST and not taxable. So services by employee to employer in course or relation to employment. It is all outside the purview of GST. But let us say I have a staff. I have an employee who is for typing. So I have a typist, let us say, employed here. Now, whatever remuneration I am paying to him for typing purposes, it is all outside the purview of GST. But this guy also knows how to do hairstyling. So for one of my event, I told him to do my hairstyle. Okay. Now that is a separate beauty hairstyling services for which I have paid him separate consideration outside the scope of employment. Then in that case, he has entered into a separate contract with me as a hairstylist, and I am a recipient in that case, where we will say that if anything is provided principal to principal basis, then that becomes a normal supply. But whatever is done as a part of employment contract, it is not forming part of supply under GST. And S simply means sale of land and building subject to Schedule 2. Why subject to Schedule 2? Because Schedule 2 says that if consideration is received before CC or FO, whichever is earlier, then it is construction service taxable under GST. But if amount is received after CC, FO, whichever is earlier, it is a sale of completed land building, and therefore no GST will be applicable on the same. It is not a supply only. So one last time, everyone with me, Chalo, wherever you are, doesn't matter, just shout out loud with me. Schedule 3 negative list FB changes. Schedule 3 negative list FB changes. Funeral, mortuary, burial, crematorium including transportation of deceased. Bond to bond transfer. Court tribunal. High C sale. Actionable claim other than specified actionable claim. One non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without goods entering into India. G for government, E for employer employee, and S for sale of land and building. Right. So we were doing section 7.2 supply excludes. Section 7.2 supply excludes, where 7.2a gave us the negative list of schedule 3. And 7.2b says that government has more powers, that it can further notify also something which are neither goods nor services, and government has notified two things yet. Any activity done under article 243G or W by government, no need to remember what are the activities. The question will specify that this activity is notified under article 243G or W of the constitution. So if you are doing any activity, if you are doing, you means government, if central government or state government is doing any activity which is mentioned in article 243G or W of the constitution, or the state governments are giving liquor license, state governments are giving liquor licenses, then both of these things are also neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So we have schedule 3 in 7.2a, and 7.2b says that there are two more activities which are notified, activities in article 243G and W undertaken by panchayat and municipalities, and grant of alcoholic liquor license by state government. These are also neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Bolo, is everything absolutely clear? And we finish off entire section 7 under CGST Act. Now we have to see a lot of clarifications and circulars, that's a separate thing, but the bare section, the bare act of section 7 CGST Act is completed. Is it dil dil, aag aag, bomb bomb, heart heart, fire fire, bomb bomb emojis? Energy has to be high. Number of live students viewing should not fall as and when we proceed further. I am here with you for 3.5 hours. You all also have to be here with me for 3.5 hours. Shala. Now let us start with the clarifications, notifications and circulars which are related to section 7 supply under GST. Now, the first clarification talks about donation. So if an individual is giving donation to any charitable institution without quid pro quo, what is quid pro quo? Quid pro quo means something in return. So if something has to be something has to be done in return of something, that is quid pro quo. But whenever you are doing donation, it should be purely philanthropic. Of course, you are not expecting something in return. Then that will be considered as donation. So there are 3 cumulative conditions that you need to satisfy. 1, donation should be made to charitable organization only. So let us say I give donation to some person who is helping some underprivileged people. No, that is not a donation. Here, for you to get covered under this circular particularly, this donation should be given to charitable organization only. Who are these charitable organizations? Who are registered in Income Tax Act, right? We have 12AA, 12AB and some other sections in Income Tax Act where you can get yourself registered as a charitable organization. So if being an individual, I am giving this donation to a charitable organization, plus whatever payment I am giving, it actually has the essence, the characteristic of donation or gift, and my purpose is purely philanthropic. I am not trying to get any kind of commercial gain, or I am not trying to do any kind of advertisement, then this donation amount that I have given will be outside the GST purview. Or let us say I gave donation to a temple trust, but in return I asked them, I gave 10 lakh ka donation, but I told them that at the entrance of the temple, I want a huge banner with my photo, shuffle batch, details, power batch, revision, everything. Now, which means I am not giving donation. Basically, I am trying to gain a commercial advantage. I am trying to do advertisement. Then that will be considered as advertisement service and GST will be applicable. Only if amount is given to charitable institution, the payment has characteristic of gift or donation, and the purpose is purely philanthropic. If all the 3 conditions are satisfied, then this will not be taxable under GST. Chalo, give me a simple answer. Let us say I gave this 10 lakh to Temple Trust, and the Temple Trust simply placed a stone there saying thank you Miss Riddhi Bagmar Singhvi. Thank you Miss Riddhi Bagmar Singhvi for giving us this donation. Now will this be treated as my commercial gain or advertisement? The answer is no. In India it is a very common practice to show gratitude and to at least put the nameplate of the person who has given the donation. Now in that case, if you are merely displaying the nameplate, that is not a consideration and no GST will be applicable on the same. But if you are displaying your business name, trade name, I am giving Shuffle Batch, IDT, CA Final, CA Inter, etc., then it will become taxable under GST. Second point, very simple. Let us say Mr. Majnu painted a painting of a donkey. गधेड़ ने painting बनायो. Mr. Majnu made a donkey painting and gave this to an exhibition to display there free of cost. Will this be treated as supply? The answer is no. Why no supply? Because ma'am, golden rule. No consideration, no supply. This is not permanent transfer, not related distinct person, not import, not principal agent, nothing. It is not even falling under Schedule 1. Not falling under Schedule 1, which simply means no consideration, no supply. So Mr. Majnu giving this painting to display in exhibition will not be a supply. But then finally, a Malika Sherawat came. Okay, so finally Malika Sherawat came and selected this painting and paid the consideration. Then it becomes a supply under GST. Right, so we are saying that artworks simply sent by artists to galleries for exhibition is not a supply because no consideration is flowing. But when the final buyer actually comes and selects your artwork, at that point of time we will say supply is happening. Business, I've already explained you that selling a personal car, personal jewelry is not a supply. It is not a commercial transaction, but your intention has to be of doing business. Let us take an example of Salman Bhai. Oh my God, yes, Mr. Salman Bhai. He is a painter, just in case you do not know, and he has painted, let us say, Katrina Kaif. Oh, in that movie, no, Tiger 2 or 3, something like that, he has painted Katrina Kaif's portrait on ice. So let us say Mr. Salman Bhai made a painting. He sold this painting and whatever money he earned, he decided to donate this money to Being Human. We are for now assuming Being Human is a charitable institution. So we are assuming Being Human is a charitable institution. So Mr. Salman Bhai sold this painting, let us say for 15 lakh rupees. For 15 lakh rupees, the painting is sold. What entire 15 lakh is then donated to a trust which is Being Human. Tell me, will this selling of painting be considered as business? Yes or no? Very quick, very fast, I want you all to answer. Yes ma'am, this selling of painting will be considered as business because as of now you have painted, you have supplied, you have earned money. Now after earning whatever you do, after earning when he is giving to Being Human, that time it will not be a supply. But this transaction of course will be considered as business and it will be considered as a supply. Because let us simply understand, no, I today sold you a lecture for 8,000 rupees, which also includes GST of 18% in it. Now in that case, I say that whatever money I earn out of this lecture, I am going to buy a superb gift for my husband. I'm going to give this money to my parents. I'm going to donate this money. I'm going to burn this money. I'm going to keep this money in locker. Will it ever affect the GST applicability on lecture fees of 8,000? The answer is no. So after earning, whatever you do of the money will never have any impact in determining whether it is business purpose or not. Clear? Employer-employee, I have already covered that whatever forms as a cost of company, it is all not taxable under GST. Now let us understand principal agent according to Para 3 Schedule 1, because Para 3 Schedule 1 Section 7(1)(c) said that if principal is supplying any goods to agent or agent is supplying any goods to principal, it becomes a deemed supply in GST even without consideration. Then the question here is, ma'am, who will be considered as my agent? The simple question here is, who will be considered as my agent? Chalo, anyone, can you give me answer in the comment section? Can you give me answer in the comment section? Who will be considered as my agent? For that, you simply have to ask one question. Thank you, Tamanna. Tamanna is saying, ma'am, your sense of humor is too good. Thank you. Chalo. Now here we say you simply have to ask one question. Invoice issued in whose name? Invoice issued in whose name? If the invoice is issued in the name of agent, then agent is an agent according to GST. But if the invoice is issued in the name of principal, then the agent is not an agent under GST. Let us take an example. I, Riddhi, appointed Rachit as my agent, and Rachit further supplied these goods to, let us say, Megha. Now in this case, Riddhi gave the goods to Rachit, Rachit gave the goods to Megha. While giving these goods to Megha, Rachit issued invoice in his own name only. So the invoice that Megha got was in the name of Rachit. Now in this case, Rachit will be considered as my agent. Why? Because while supplying further, while dealing with third persons, he is issuing his own name invoice. Which means today if I, Riddhi, give these goods even to Rachit without consideration, according to para 3 of schedule 1, it will be a supply without consideration. Let us take another example. This is Riddhi. This is Dhruv. And let's say this is Himani. Now in this case, I appointed Dhruv to go search for people who are supplying goods at the cheapest possible rate. So Dhruv purchased some goods from Himani for me. So while purchasing the goods from Himani, Dhruv is my purchase agent. Dhruv is my purchase agent. So while purchasing the goods from Himani, he told Himani to issue invoice in his own name. So the invoice here is issued in the name of Dhruv. Now in this case, if this is the case, then whenever Dhruv is giving the goods to me, even if free of cost without consideration, it will be considered as deemed supply. So the condition simply says that you have to ask invoice is in whose name. If invoice is in the name of principal, then agent is not an agent. Normal provisions has to apply that for the transaction to become supply, consideration has to be there. But if invoice is issued in the name of agent, then that agent is covered under schedule 1 and supply of goods without consideration will also be treated as supply. The same Rachit, Dimple, Arjun and all of these examples I have given here, which you can self-read. Now let us understand the topic of Del Creditor Agent. What do you mean by the term Del Creditor Agent? Years back when you were kids, small kids, when you were in CPT or foundation, you would have studied a topic named as consignment accounting. There you would have studied about Del Creditor Agent. Who are Del Creditor Agent? Del Creditor Agent are basically people. Del Creditor Agent. Del Creditor Agent are basically people or agent who are selling goods on our behalf to ultimate customers. They are normally our selling agents who are selling goods on our behalf to customers, and just in case any customer is not paying, no, these people take personal guarantees. These people take personal guarantees that we are going to pay. We are going to pay this amount out of our own pocket also. Chalo, I am Riddhi from Ahmedabad. I decided to sell goods. I decided to sell goods in Mumbai, Maharashtra and in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. But now I do not know how the people of Mumbai or Chennai are. So I was extremely unsure about whether I will receive the payment or not. So I met Salman Bhai. Again, I met Salman Bhai and Bhai told me, do not worry, ma'am. Everyone is afraid of me here. So I will collect the payment, give it to you. I will make sales on your behalf. And if any person is not paying, I will pay out of my own pocket. So Bhai is my Del Creditor Agent in Mumbai. And when I went to Chennai, I was like, I don't even know the language here. How will I even collect the money? Then I met Anna. Let us make Anna wear a lungi. So Anna is wearing a lungi here. So Anna told me, madam, why are you taking even a tension? I know, I am the Periyatale. I know everyone, and if anyone is not paying money, now I will pay out of my own pocket. I said, Anna, are you sure? Your lungi is not even having pocket. Anna said, Ayyo, madam, don't go literal. I will pay if customer not paying. I said, okay. I am scared now. Chal. So in this case, Bhai decided to issue invoices in own name. Bhai decided to issue invoices in his own name. But Anna said, no, I am not going to issue invoice in my own name. So Anna is not issuing invoice in his own name, which means whenever Anna is selling goods on my behalf, no, the invoice is issued directly in the name of Riddhi only, in the name of principal. Whereas here the invoice is issued in the name of Bhai. And now what happened? No, Bhai made some sales to Katrina Kaif. Oh, let us say cat. Bhai made some sales to cat for 1 lakh rupees. Now, Bhai, of course, being a shy person in front of Katrina, was not able to ask for money from Cat, and then later on, Bhai had to pay this amount from own pocket to me. So, Bhai paid this entire 1 lakh to me out of own pocket. Later on, Cat met Vic. Cat met Vic, and she went away with Vic. Bhai was extremely hurt, deeply hurt. Bhai straight away called Cat, and he was like, Cat, do you even know I paid 1 lakh rupees? I paid 1 lakh rupees on your behalf to Riddhi, and now I have to recover that 1 lakh from you. And because I paid 1 lakh 6 months back, no, I also want an interest of 10,000. So Bhai now recovered 1 lakh 10,000 from Cat. So 10,000. 10,000 is the interest or penalty amount that Bhai has received as a Dell creditor agent. Similar case happened with Anna also. Anna, out of Lungi, paid me 10,000 as interest just because he had supplied goods to someone and he was not able to recover that money from someone, and later on when he recovered that money from someone, no, he took interest of 10,000 also because he had paid out of own pocket there, because he had taken guarantee. Now the question here is, what should be the treatment of this interest? What should be the treatment of this interest is the question here. Because understand, normally in GST, whenever you give any loan or advance or deposit to someone and you earn any interest, that interest is exempt under GST. Merely giving money to someone and earning interest is exempt under GST. But if you are earning any interest which is related to your main supply because the person is making late payment, then this main supply interest is added with the main supply and it is taxable at the same rate applicable as on main supply. So the question here is, this 10,000 that Bhai have received and this 10,000 that Anna have received, which is going to be exempt and which is going to be added in the original supply? The question is very simple. According to invoice rule, you will check who is the agent. Because Bhai has issued invoice in the own name, Bhai is my agent according to GST. And according to common terms, Anna might be my agent, but he is not an agent according to GST because he is not issuing invoices in own name. So Anna is not my agent. So here, whatever 10,000 Bhai is receiving, no, will be added in the main supply. Whatever 10,000, because understand, no, at the time of original supply also invoice was given in the name of Bhai. When interest is received, that invoice is also given in the name of Bhai only. So Bhai plus Bhai can be added, no. But here the original supply was made in Riddhi's name. Whereas interest, I am not going to receive interest. Anna will keep in his lungi. So in that case, I will say that interest invoice Anna will give. Original supply invoice Riddhi gave. How can you add both of them? Therefore, this interest is going to be exempt under GST. We will assume as if Anna gave a loan to the customer and paid on his behalf and then later on recovered that loan along with the interest. So we will simply say, in case of Dell creditor agent, if the original supply was in the name of principal, means agent was never agent, in that case, this interest is not going to be taxable under GST. It will be exempted from GST. Whereas if the original invoice was in the name of agent, no, as the case of Bhai, then in that case, whatever interest Bhai is receiving, it will be added with the value of the original supply and will be taxable at the rate of original supply only. Say yes or no, clear to everyone. Clear with principal agent relationship, when the agent will be agent, and also when in case of Dell creditor agent interest will be added or when it will be not added. Got it, ma'am. Then moving on to sale promotion. Very simple. No consideration, no supply. If you are giving free sample, free gift to someone, it is no consideration, no supply unless it falls in schedule 1. That you always have to see. But if there is a buy one get one offer, which means you pay 1,000 rupees and you get 2 jeans. Normally 1 jeans is for 1,000, but there is a buy one get one offer, so you pay 1,000 and you get 2 jeans. We will not say as if 1 jeans I have purchased for 1,000 and second jeans is free, therefore it is not a supply. No, you will say both the jeans are supplied for a total value of 1,000 rupees. So we are saying if buy one get one offer is there, no, it is not without consideration. You can never say that one thing is for consideration as another thing is for free. You will simply always say that both of them are for a single price and you will apply the concepts of composite and mixed supply. Transfer of tenancy rights against tenancy premium is always considered as supply of service. Nothing is there to explain in this case. Now, distinct person we have already covered along with the definition, same PAN, separate registration, distinct person. Then if you are an original equipment manufacturer giving any mold or dies or equipments to your component manufacturer free of cost, again free of cost, no consideration, no supply. Let us say Tata is making a car. Car is the original equipment. Now seats of the car are outsourced to component manufacturer, which means this component manufacturer will make the seat and give to Tata. Tata will simply fit the seat in the car. So car is the original equipment and seat is the component. Now Tata was unsure whether component manufacturer will be able to make the seat of exact same size or not. Therefore, they gave him the mold free of cost. You keep this mold and now you make seat exactly of this same size. Now in this case, because component manufacturer is neither my principal nor my agent, not my related, not my distinct person, nothing, no condition of schedule 1 is satisfied. Therefore, this kind of transfer, no consideration, no supply, will not be treated as supply under GST. I will not go into much details of cost petroleum for now because we are in revision. Simply what you have to understand is cost petroleum. I'm sorry, I cannot explain everything because we are in a revision series for now. So cost petroleum is not taxable under GST. It is basically not a supply only. So whatever cost ka recovery you are doing, whatever cost recovery to obtain the license or lease for these kind of mining, this cost petroleum recovery that you are doing is not taxable under GST. And out of profit petroleum also, the government's share of profit petroleum is also exempt under GST. It will take me 10-15 minutes to explain the entire provision. Therefore, I am only giving you the conclusion that you need to remember. The conclusion simply says that cost petroleum not taxable, and government's share of profit petroleum also exempt under GST. So basically GST not applicable on both of them. Alright. Then financial transactions also I've explained you along with important terms only, that goods and services both are money and security, both of them are neither goods nor services, but the use or facilitating the transactions in money or security, it will be considered as services. Now in this case, we are saying if there are any futures or forwards contract, then in that case net settlement not chargeable, cash settlement it will be still considered as service only, and so it will still be considered as security only. Whereas if you are taking the physical delivery of the commodity on which the futures or forwards are based, then in that case this will be liable to GST. We have already discussed this. Money and security are not services, not goods, but issuance charges or bank charges, draft charges, facilitating transactions in money security, using money security for a consideration, it will all be considered as service, right? Do you know what is security lending scheme? Of course, ma'am, we know what is security lending scheme. Being CMA students, of course, it is very simple. Today, if I want to sell some shares, but I am not owning these shares, without holding shares, can I sell them? Without holding shares, can I sell them? The answer is yes. How? You can engage in short selling, ma'am. Basically, you can borrow the shares from someone who is having these shares at this point of time but is not interested to deal in these shares. So what I can do, I can borrow these shares from that person, sell them in the market, and later on I can purchase, square off the transaction and give these shares back to my ultimate lender. This is known as security lending scheme. So of course, the lender is not doing any charity here. So the lender will charge lending fees. The lender will charge lending fees from the borrower. The question here is, should this lending fees be taxable under GST or exempt under GST? Shall we consider them as disposal of security? The answer is no. We are saying that if you sell the security, if you dispose the security, then it will not be goods, not be services. But here I am not disposing the security, I am lending the security, and lending is not equivalent to disposal. Therefore, whatever lending fees as a lender I am receiving, no, that is going to be taxable under GST. And also this is all done through an approved intermediary. So whatever brokerage or commission or agency charges this intermediary person is charging, that brokerage etc. will also be taxable under GST. Priority sector lending certificates, PSLCs. Priority sector lending certificates are goods, not services, taxable at 12%, always RCM, always IGST. This is something you have to learn. I cannot explain anything in this. Then moving on to next topic, which is joint venture. Now in case of joint venture, we are simply saying joint venture, let us say A, B and C came together and made a joint venture ABC. Now, of course, to start or to run this joint venture, we will have to give some capital or cash cash calls, cash contributions or capital contributions to this joint venture. So simply the members of JV giving money, giving capital, giving cash calls to this joint venture. Will this be treated as supply? Say yes or no. Capital contribution, cash calls, while the members of JV giving to JV, will this be considered as a supply? The answer is no, ma'am, because money and security are neither goods nor services. And giving cash call, giving capital contribution is a mere transaction in money. And like I have 10,000 today, I give you 10,000. Now this giving of money is merely exchange of money, which is not taxable under GST. But let us say these two members of JV gave some money to B, who is an operating member. Now B basically is using its own machinery, own technology, own resources to do something and then provide the service to JV. Then in that case, B is providing service to these other people also, B is providing service to JV also. So that amount given to B will be considered as taxable under GST. So if mere cash call or capital contribution you are doing, it is a mere transaction in money, therefore not taxable. But if contribution is given to operating member who uses its own machinery, then in that case we will say that we are providing services to JV and that is going to be taxable under GST. Then the next point says that there are three things: agreeing to refrain from an act, to tolerate an act, to do an act. Agreeing to refrain. Refrain means to not do, to tolerate or to do something. It is also supply of service if you have entered into a contract and you have charged consideration for the same. So let us say we took example of Aishwarya, where I paid money to Aishwarya to not do teaching. So she is refraining from teaching. Non-compete agreements that are also taxable under GST. Or let us say a builder is having a permission to build the building of 10 floors, but the neighbors are requesting to not go beyond 5 or 6 floors because sunlight will be blocked, and they pay compensation to him, which means I am refraining from not building floors even if I am having the permission. Then whatever amount I receive as a consideration, it will all be taxable considering as supply of service. To tolerate an act, to do an act or to not do an act. Examples I have given here. Wherever there is a contract not required to be a written contract. It can be express contract also, implied contract also, and if there is consideration, then in that case we will say it becomes taxable under GST. But if in any case there is a contract to simply provide for liquidated damages, like whatever amount I am getting, no, it is basically for a breach of contract because I have incurred, I will say, I don't know, I have suffered, okay, I have suffered some loss or injury or damage, and the opposite person is only paying me the money to set off for that loss or injury, then that amount is not taxable under GST because I never agreed for it basically. Let us take an example. If you purchase my lectures, you will receive a note in your mail saying that if in any case you try to pirate the lectures or you try to make unauthorized copies of this lecture and sell in the market, we will charge 2 times of the amount from you. Now in this case, understand, we are in a contract, right? And let us take an example of Ajay. So we have Ajay here. Ajay, what he did now, he made pirated copies of the lecture, and the lectures which normally sell for 8,000 rupees, he started giving these lectures for 2,000 to people. And doing this, he was able to sell 100 lectures also, which means I incurred a loss of revenue of 100. I basically suffered an injury. If I had myself sold these 100 lectures then I would have earned 8,000 into 100. I do not earn this much. Actually, government gets GST and books the charges, etc. Students will start calculating how much you are earning, ma'am. Chill. So here I will say I could have earned 8,000 into 100. Because of Ajay, I lost 8,000 into 100 and therefore I am collecting 8,000 into 100. I am collecting this 8,000 into 100 from Ajay, which means in that case, it is not like there was a contract and because I tolerated his piracy, therefore I am getting amount, this should be taxable. No, this is not taxable under GST because it is simply amount paid for compensation of my injury, loss or damage, and therefore it is not taxable under GST. So examples, you can just self-read, these things are not taxable. We can take one more example which have also come up in examination one time. Let us take example of Ajay Devgan. So Ajay Devgan, Akshay Kumar and Shah Rukh Khan. Ajay Devgan, Akshay and Shah Rukh Khan, they are all doing Bolo Zuba Kesari. Like they are all doing Bolo Zuba Kesari. Now in this case, when the company hired Akshay Kumar, they agreed for a compensation of 5 crore rupees that they are going to pay Akshay Kumar for a period of 5 years. So total 25 crore. Let us assume Akshay Kumar is charging from Vimal. But after 2 years, Akshay Kumar started to note that people actually are knowing him for patriotic movies, to be a fitness enthusiast, etc. And if only he is doing Vimal Bolo Zuba Kesari, then in that case, people are not happy. His fans are not happy with him. He might lose movies. He might lose his image. So he told Vimal that, sorry Vimal, I cannot continue further. Now Vimal said, hey, I am paying you 25 crore because I assumed that for 5 years you will do Bolo Zuba Kesari. Therefore, people will start purchasing Vimal and we will earn a lot of profit. Therefore, I agreed for this amount. Now, if you go in 2 years, we will incur some reputation loss. Therefore, they asked for compensation from Akshay Kumar. So, Akshay Kumar had to give compensation to Vimal. So, will this compensation be taxable under GST? The answer is no, because it is purely liquidated damages. Because of Akshay leaving the contract in middle of the tenure, Vimal is going to incur losses. Vimal is going to suffer some injuries, and to compensate these injuries, Akshay is paying, and therefore this is not going to be taxable under GST. So we are saying these are all some of the examples when there is a breach of contract and the person is paying the amount, it is not taxable under GST. But these things normally are in very much ordinary course of business and they become taxable at the principal rate. Let us say the recipient is making late payment to supplier. So along with late payment, we are paying some late payment or penalty or interest charges. They become added to the original supply and become taxable at the original rate. Let us say I booked a tour ticket, but I cancelled the ticket end moment. So whatever amount I had paid, it all got forfeited. That will be taxable under GST. But ma'am, isn't it similar to breach of contract? See, I will give you a technique which will work 95% of the times. This is an unofficial technique, I would say. It is nowhere written, it is nowhere given by the government, by the ICI, and it is not foolproof also. But you can get confused a lot of times here. Therefore, 95% of the times this technique will work for you for examination purpose. I am giving you. Not in all cases it will work. Whenever the supplier is breaching, no. At that point of time, they are not making it taxable. But whenever the recipient is breaching, that point of time, they are making it taxable. We can take simple example. Akshay Kumar was the supplier giving brand ambassador services to Vimal. Vimal gave consideration to Akshay Kumar. When Akshay Kumar breached, no, it was not taxable under GST. At the same time, let us say, these are all cases of recipient, where recipient is making late payment to supplier, it is taxable. The recipient is cancelling the ticket end moment, it is a supply. The recipient is cancelling the tour or the ticket or anything, it is a supply. The customer is paying some prepayment penalties to the banks, it is taxable. So this is, I will say, a tip. It will work 95% of the times, not all the times. I repeat again, sometimes you will have to apply your brain to understand and think whether this is actual breach of contract and actually loss has occurred and therefore payment is done, so it is not taxable. But mostly I am saying Mostly this is an unofficial tip. I repeat again, not foolproof, not 100% effective, but it will help you to understand all the examples and at least solve the questions of ICI. For that purpose, your work will be done. So simply, whenever supplier is breaching, they are not making it taxable. But whenever recipient is breaching, they are making it taxable, because understand, no, a supplier has many recipients. So it is very normal for the supplier for one of his recipient to breach. For a recipient, I have only one supplier. If he is breaching on me, of course I am going to incur a lot of losses. No. And therefore, that is not becoming taxable. Simply check dishonor. No person on earth would ever want his check to get bounced so that I receive check dishonor fees. Of course, no. So therefore, again, whatever amount I am getting, it is not out of my express willingness. Therefore, not taxable. If government is imposing any penalty, if you breach, if you do not wear a helmet, you're not putting a seat belt, government is charging penalty from you, then in that case, government is simply not happy, no, getting that penalty. Government is not tolerating your act of not wearing helmet. Government is putting that penalty because so that you do not actually violate, and therefore again this penalty is received by government, not taxable. So these are some of these examples that you can self read, that when it is taxable and when it is not taxable. Got it, ma'am? Then next clarification, again, even if I do not teach, you already know this. What this is saying is, let us say Prashant purchased a land for 10 lakh rupees. Prashant purchased a land for 10 lakh rupees. Now in this case, purchase of land not taxable under GST, simple land building outside the purview of GST. So no GST applicable on the same. But this land was not a beautiful land, which means there were a lot of, let's say, potholes on the land, drainage pipes were not proper, there were no fencing done, etc., etc. So what Prashant did? Prashant spent 4 lakh rupees on this land and he made the land beautiful by doing leveling of the land, laying drainage pipes, putting fences across the land, etc., etc. And later on, he was able to sell the same land for 30 lakh rupees. So the question here is, what will be taxable and what will not be taxable? So we are saying purchase of land, be it as it is or be it after some development, always will not be taxable. So this 10 lakh will also be not taxable, this 30 lakh will also be not taxable. It is irrelevant whether you are selling the land as it is or you are doing some developments on the land and then selling. All cases, it will not be taxable. So this 4 lakh is normal supply of service that I'm availing, no, from other people. Laying of drainage pipes, doing leveling, putting fencing, these are all normal services that I'm availing with in relation to land, but it is not land services. No, there are services in relation to land that I'm availing from some normal people providing normal services. So this is going to be taxable under GST. This is what is written in this paragraph. Even if I had not explained you, then also I'm 100% sure you would be able to self understand this thing. Okay. Then the next point says, interstate movement of various modes of conveyance. Now understand. Same PAN, separate registration, two distinct persons. My one shop in Ahmedabad and my one shop in Mumbai. The Mumbai shop needed 100 units of goods. So what I did, I put all of these units in a truck and I sent this truck to Mumbai. The truck is worth 20 lakh rupees and the goods are worth 3 lakh rupees. Tell me what will be the value of supply. Ma'am, see, according to schedule 1, para 1, no, according to schedule 1, para 2. According to schedule 1, para 2, anything supplied between related person or distinct person in course furtherance of business is supply even without consideration. So here the truck of 20 lakh is going and the goods of 3 lakh are going. In that case, ma'am, only and only 3 lakh will be considered as my deemed supply, because the conveyance which is going, no, the conveyance might go for repair purpose, might go for transportation of goods or passengers. All the time, of course, entire conveyance amount you cannot consider as deemed supply, no. So only and only the goods that are being transferred to your related person or distinct person, that will be considered as deemed supply. The goods services are considered deemed supply, but not the conveyance. That is what they are saying here. So if the conveyance is going to carry the goods passengers or it is going there to get repaired and again come back, the entire conveyance amount will not become my deemed supply. But if the conveyance is sent for further supply, we are dealing in trucks only. So from Ahmedabad, I sent a truck to Mumbai to further then supply this truck only, then the truck is not a normal conveyance, then this truck becomes a stock for me. So in that case it will be considered as deemed supply. But simply if it is going for carry of goods, passengers or repair purposes, it shall neither be treated as supply of goods nor treated as supply of services. So therefore no GST will be payable on the conveyance. But whatever goods or services are carried in the conveyance, or whatever actual repair services are availed, on that of course GST will be payable. Got it. Taxability. Chalo, without even explaining you, I will simply ask you. A holding company, let us say a holding company is holding 65% shares of a subsidiary company. Will the holding of these shares be taxable under GST? I have not even explained you and I am straight away asking you this question. Without explaining, I am straight away asking you this question, that holding of shares by a holding company of subsidiary company, will this be treated as taxable? The answer is no. Why, ma'am? Because securities are neither goods nor services. So the activity of holding shares of subsidiary company by a holding company cannot be treated as supply of services. Why? Because securities are neither goods nor services. Right. Then taxability of personal and corporate guarantee. Now, this thing as such is also covered with value of supply chapter, but I will clear it right here, right now only. So understand. If a director is giving guarantee, if a director is giving guarantee to a bank, guarantee is always basically given to a bank on behalf of company. Company wants to take a loan from the bank and the director of the company himself becomes the guarantor for this loan. Then in that case, tell me, are director and company related person? Yes. Director is a supplier who is providing services to company, being a recipient, because company, on behalf of company, guarantee is given. No, bank is not recipient here. Understand? Guarantee, the director is actually doing a favor to the company. No, the service is given to the company. Then in that case, we will say the director and company are related person. Now, anything happening between related person becomes a deemed supply. So, if the director is giving guarantee to a bank on behalf of company without charging remuneration, will it be considered as deemed supply? The answer is yes, it will be considered as deemed supply. It is a supply under GST. Then the next question arises, what will be the value of this supply? What will be the value of this supply? The answer is 0. Why 0, ma'am? See, whenever you are undertaking transactions with your related person, you apply Rule 28 for valuation. Rule 28 says that if open market value is available, take that. If not available, you have to take like kind quality. Now, for you to understand this, you of course need to have some idea about Rule 28 that we study in value of supply chapter. No problem, we are anyways going to do revision of value of supply also. At that point of time, it will be clear to you. Not a big deal. Okay. So, Rule 28 says that open market value becomes the value of supply. If not available, then you see like kind quality. The open market value here is 0. Why, ma'am? Because according to Reserve Bank of India, what, ma'am? We are studying GST, right? But still, according to Reserve Bank of India, if a director is giving personal guarantee service to a company, for company to get loan from any financial institution, in that case, even if director wants, no, then also he cannot charge any remuneration. Even if director wants, then also charging remuneration is not allowed, which means the open market value of this is 0 only. No director in India is allowed to charge any remuneration to give guarantee to its own company. So here we are going to say this is a supply of service according to Schedule 1. Because director and company are related person. However, understand, according to RBI guidelines, director cannot charge remuneration. Therefore, we will say that it is a supply, but value of supply is 0. Now, any rate of GST applicable on 0 will always amount in 0 only. So, GST will be 0. Not because GST is exempt. GST will be 0 because the value of supply is 0, because RBI has said that there is no open market value for a director to give personal guarantee to any company. Does this make sense to everyone? Say yes or no. Tell me quickly, is it clear to all of us? Is it clear to all of us? Yes, ma'am. Now we are saying, Now, what if the director is no longer director of the company? He has resigned. If he has resigned, then whatever actual remuneration he is charging, that becomes value of supply. But ma'am, he is not charging any remuneration. Now he is no more director, he is no more related. Then if no consideration, no supply. General rule. So if director is no longer the director of company, then the general rules of supply will start to apply. Now we are saying if a company which is related to some another company by holding more than 25% or shares or anything like that. So if there are two related companies giving corporate guarantee to each other, so company A is giving guarantee to bank on behalf of company B Limited to avail some loan from the bank, and they are both related person. Again, if they are both related person, then valuation has to be done according to rule 28, and rule 28 sub rule 2 says that if a related company gives gives guarantee to any financial institution for its related company to obtain a loan, then value of supply is always fixed as 1% of guarantee amount or actual consideration that I am charging to give this guarantee. Whichever is higher automatically becomes the value of supply. I will ask you a question. Let us say company A and company B are related person. A loan of 30 lakh is taken. A loan of 30 lakh is taken. Now to get this loan, company A gave guarantee. To give guarantee, company A actually charged 5 lakh rupees. Actually 5 lakh rupees to give this guarantee. Now tell me what is the value of supply here? Question number 2. Chalo, let me keep this as 2 lakh. Not 5 lakh, we will keep this as 2 lakh. Question number 2. Same, company A gave guarantee, company B, the loan is of 30 lakh rupees and actual consideration charged is 2 lakh rupees. And in this case, simply they are not related. The only difference is they are not related. And point number 1, they are related. I need to know the value of supply for this guarantee service. Value of supply for this guarantee service. Ma'am, see if they are related, no, we always have to see 1% of guarantee amount, 30 lakh into 1% or 2 lakh, whichever is higher. 30 lakh into 1% or 2 lakh, whichever is higher. Bolo yes or no. But ma'am, here I have to see nothing. If they are not related, then whatever is the actual consideration, close your eyes, and this actual consideration of 2 lakh, the actual consideration of 2 lakh becomes my value of supply. If it is actual consideration, whatever it is, that only becomes the value of supply. Bolo yes or no. Makes sense to everyone? If they are related, then whatever is higher. If they are related, then you have to always see 30 lakh into 1%, 0.3 or 2, 0.3 lakh or 2 lakh, whichever is higher. So 2 lakh only becomes my value of supply. Whereas here I will say 2 lakh. I do not have to compare anything. And this automatically becomes my value of supply. Ma'am, if there is no consideration, let us see if there is no consideration. If they are related person, and there is no consideration, then straight away 1% of loan amount becomes my value of supply. 1% of guarantee amount becomes my value of supply. And we will say, if at all there are not related person, if they are not related person, then no consideration, no supply. If no consideration, then general rule for not related, no consideration, no supply. So this point applies only in case of related. So here we are saying that corporate guarantee provided by a company to any bank, financial institution for giving credit facility to another related company, one company to another related company or subsidiary, whatever it is, with or without remuneration. You do not have to see anything. Simply 1% of guarantee amount or actual consideration, whichever is higher. But if they are unrelated, then actual consideration becomes value of supply. If no consideration, then no supply. Simply the normal provisions under GST. And last but not least, supply leviable to GST for any supply of goods or services To fall under GST purview, there are two conditions that you have to fulfill. One, the person supplying the goods or services should be a taxable person, because only a taxable person can collect GST. If you are an unregistered person, you cannot actually collect GST. And second, whatever goods or services you are providing, these has to be taxable. Both the conditions you have to fulfill. Supply should be made by a taxable person. Recipient can be unregistered, doesn't matter. Supplier should be a taxable person and the supply should be a taxable person. So let us say a grocery owner. He is registered under GST, but he is selling salt. Now, salt particularly is exempt under GST. So, he cannot collect GST on salt even if he is registered. So, both conditions has to be satisfied. Goods or services have to be taxable and the person supplying these goods or services also have to be taxable. So, basically, if not two non-taxable supply person makes supply, then no GST. Clear. And here we officially finish the entire chapter of supply under GST along with all the clarifications, notifications. In Power Batch, we take almost 4 to 5 hours, more than that, 5.5 hours to finish this lecture. In regular batch, we take 7 to 8 or 9 hours to finish this, which in almost 2 hours, we have completed entire supply chapter. Bolo, confident, clear, dil aga gum. I don't know if you have realized or not, and we have completed 30 pages of the book. More than 30 pages of the book. In 2 hours, 30 plus pages of the book we have already completed. Are you all with me, feeling confident? You want a break? Shall we take a break or let's continue? We'll take a break of 10 minutes and then we'll resume, okay? I'll just quickly go have something, I want to eat or drink something. So we'll take a 10 minutes break and then we continue. We'll start at 4:40. Yeah, we resume at 4:40. है ना? चलो. We resume at 4:40 and then we will have the class till 6. So whatever we can complete till 6, composite supply charge, or even if we are not able to complete entire registration, no problem. Till 6, whatever we can complete, we will continue. Then tomorrow again we'll meet at 2 because I have lecture at 7 again. Shalom. Shall we resume, guys? Chalo. Shall we resume? Are we all back? Yes, ma'am. So we just now completed S for 7, S for supply, section 7, scope of supply. Then the next section that we study is two zeros getting mixed become 8. The main word is two zeros getting mixed become 8. Therefore, section 8A talks about composite supply and section 8B talks about mixed supply. Now, this is very simple to revise also. We will not give much time on this. Composite supplies are basically supplies which are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business only, that they are ordinarily supplied in conjunction with each other only, and one of them is a principal supply. So, the entire supply then becomes taxable at the principal rate of supply only. What is principal? Which is main, which is predominant. The secondary thing is only given to us to enjoy the main thing better. Let us take an example of you are getting a television set with a free mandatory 1-year warranty. Now in that case, television is primary and warranty is secondary. So entire combo will be taxable at the rate of television only. You are getting travel tickets with food service on board. So of course, travel is important, food is secondary, it is a combo, it becomes a composite supply and everything will be taxable at the rate of tickets only. So similarly, composite supply means anything which is supplied together, taken together as a natural bundle in ordinary course of business, and one of them is principal, and whatever is principal, that rate of GST becomes applicable to the entire transaction. This is an important clarification with respect to printing. Now understand recipient, let us say Riddhi, gave a PDF of the entire handwritten book to my printer, who is my supplier, who is going to print this for me and send the books back to me. So Riddhi, being a recipient of this printing, gave the content to the supplier. The supplier gave me two things. One is the printing service. One is the service to print the books, and plus second what he is giving me is the paper also, and paper are goods. Because he is using his own paper to print. No. So he essentially is giving me two supplies. One is printing service and another is the paper that is used in printing, which means it is a composite supply, because normally in ordinary course of business only, a printer normally supplies paper as well as printing services both. So it is a composite supply. But the question is, what should be principal? Whether the rate of printing should be made applicable on the entire transaction or the rate of paper should be made applicable on the entire transaction. The answer says that whatever you are getting printed, if content is primary in the same, like book, for you, what is written in the book will be important. The content of the book is going to be important and not the quality of the pages, of course. So books, pamphlets, reports, brochures, etc. Here the content is principal. So you are least concerned about paper, but you are more concerned about the printing service. Therefore, this will be considered as supply of service. But in case 2, let us say you gave a logo. I gave this kind of a logo to my supplier and I told him to print this logo on tissue papers, envelopes and give that papers back to me. Now, I mean, how often would you ever notice a logo that is printed on the tissue paper? No, the quality of tissue paper is important for us. So in cases where content is ancillary, but the quality of paper, the quality of goods becomes primary, that will be considered as supply of goods. So envelopes, tissues, etc. are supply of goods, but books, etc. printing becomes supply of service. Bus bodybuilding, government is also saying we do not know, you will have to see on the case basis only. If there is a major repair happening where you are changing all the parts of the bus, let us say the engine is changed, the chassis is changed, the seats is changed, then it is all goods. But there is a minor accident of the bus taking place, it's a small refurbishing that is happening, so it will be considered as services. So bus bodybuilding, you have to see case to case basis. Retreading of tires, if the tire belongs to recipient, then it is supply of service. If the tire belongs to supplier only, then it is supply of goods. Simple. supply of food or beverages in a cinema hall. So you paid an amount together for a combo, which gives you movie ticket also and which gives you popcorn plus coke also. It is a composite supply, ordinary course of business. Tickets are supplied with these kind of food combos. Now in that case, what is principle? Do you go to a theater to eat popcorn or to watch a movie? Of course, ma'am, movie popcorn is secondary. So we will simply say that it becomes a composite supply. And what is the principle? Exhibition of cinema is principle. So the rate of cinema, the rate of exhibition of cinema becomes applicable to the entire supply transaction happening. But I purchase a ticket separately and then I enter the cinema hall and then I purchase popcorn separately. If that is the case, then of course ticket will be taxable at its individual rate of movie cinema exhibition service, and popcorn will be taxable at the rate of restaurant normally. So we are saying if food or beverages are supplied as a way of or as a part of service and they are independent to the cinema exhibition, not supplied as a combo together, then of course food beverages will be taxed as restaurants separately. But if they are all combined with the movie ticket only, then it becomes a composite supply and movie ticket rate will become applicable to the entire supply. Then applicability of GST on supply of electricity by real estate companies, malls, airport operators from lessee or occupants. What to do in this case? Now here we are saying, see, if at all the mall owner, the airport owner or the place owner gives the small shops on rent to various people for a fixed rent, and also there is a fixed amount for electricity. So we have decided that every month you will give us 50,000 for electricity. This is not the actual bill that you are actually getting. So here, even if you bill this electricity amount separately, no, then also it will be considered as a composite supply only, because you are not collecting electricity as the actual electricity from your ultimate recipient. You are mixing everything with your rent and maintenance charges only. So your electricity charges will also be taxable at the rate of rent and maintenance charges. So if electricity is bundled with the renting, if electricity is bundled in the renting, and even if you give a separate invoice for the same, no, but it is not the actual electricity bill that has come from the electricity department, and therefore it becomes a composite supply, and the rate of renting of GST only becomes applicable to this electricity amount also. But if in case where the mall owner actually collects the electricity as the actual amount of which bill has been received on actual basis, then you are acting as pure agent. When you are acting as pure agent, that basically whatever actually electricity bill has been paid by the owner to the discoms or to the electricity boards, that same amount is collected from the tenant. In that case, we will say that this amount will not form part of value of supply, because electricity is generally exempt under GST. So if electricity is supplied by real estate owner developers as pure agents, they are charging actual basis the same amount that we have actually paid to the electricity board, then in that case it will not form part of value of supply. If it is all clubbed together, then it becomes a composite supply, taxable at the rate of renting only. Okay, this was all about composite supply. What is mixed supply? Exactly opposite of composite supply. When something is bundled and it is not in ordinary course of business. So for a single price, you supply two or more things together which are not composite. Basically, they are all independent of each other. They are not dependent on each other. None of them is principal. In that case, they are not naturally bundled. We call it as a mixed supply. And quickly tell me in the comment section, what is the rate of GST applicable on mixed supply? Ma'am, whatever is the rate attracting highest GST rate out of all the supplies, highest GST rate out of all the supplies being bundled together, that becomes applicable to mixed supply. So it is treated as supply of that particular item which attracts the highest rate, and it becomes taxable. Now, let us say you go to DMart. You go to DMart and you purchase a lot of things from DMart. So I took, let us say, soap, calculator, biscuit, etc., etc. And there was a single bill of 5,000 that I paid. What will be the rate of GST applicable? Soap, let us assume 5%, calculator 18%, biscuit 12%. What will be the rate of GST applicable on this 5,000? Now understand, this is neither composite supply nor mixed supply, because DMart will be issuing me an invoice with the separate amounts for all the items that I have purchased. If everything is clubbed into a combo, no, then it becomes a mixed supply. This is not a mixed supply just because we have billed them together. Therefore, no highest rate applicable, and soap individually will be taxable at 5%. Calculator individually 18%. So what we are saying here is, because they are all separate supplies and nothing is clubbed here. No, it is not that for a single price everything is supplied in a combo. Every single amount and rate of GST is mentioned separately in the invoice, charged separately for every supply happening. Therefore, they will all be chargeable at their applicable respective rate of GST, neither principal nor highest. So yes or no makes sense to everyone. I hope we complete section 8 of CGST Act, which is composite and mixed supply. Chalo. Section 7, S for supply, section 7, scope of supply. 2 zeros getting mixed become 8. Section 8A is composite supply, taxable at principal rate of tax, and section 8B is mixed supply, chargeable at the rate of supply attracting highest GST. Done, clear and understood. Now we move on to next chapter, which is charge of GST. Next chapter, which is charge of GST. Now, for a while we'll take a break from CGST Act and we study 3 sections of IGST Act. 3 sections of IGST Act. Section 7, interstate supply. Section 8, intrastate supply. And section 9, territorial waters of India. Section 7 of IGST Act says that if the location of supplier and place of supply, if the location of supplier and place of supply are in 2 different states or 2 different union territories, or 1 state, 1 union territory, then in that case, of course, it is going to be treated as an interstate supply. For all interstate supplies, we levy IGST. But if the location of supplier or the place of supply are in 2 same state or UT, then we consider it as an intrastate supply. Now, if you are watching revisions, you are of course clear with this one. This is so basic, right? This is so basic. So we will say all the imports, all the exports, be it of goods, be it of services, if you are making supplies to or receiving supplies from SEZ unit or developer, and all the cases where location of supplier and place of supply are in 2 different state or UT, 1 state, 1 UT, it is always considered as interstate supply, and for all interstate supplies, IGST is applicable. Then ma'am, what is intrastate supply? So when location of supplier and place of supply are in same state, same UT, we consider it as intrastate supply, and C plus SGST is applicable. Section 9, territorial waters of India says that if location of supplier or place of supply are in territorial waters of India, so this is, let's say, India ka baseline, from here 12 nautical miles is territorial waters of India. So if location of supplier or place of supply is here, then what to do? You will assume it to be located at the nearest coastal state or UT. So from here, according to distance, whichever is the nearest coastal state or UT, no, that will be deemed as if it is your location of supplier or place of supply, and then you will determine whether it is CGST, SGST or IGST. So what is important here is location of supplier and place of supply. What is not important here is location of recipient. So let us say Riddhi, who is a recipient from Gujarat, goes to Goa and books a resort there. The resort owner, of course, is in Goa. Will this be an interstate supply or an intrastate supply? Now, to answer this, you need to know the provisions of place of supply chapter. Now, place of supply chapter says that for any accommodation in any hotel, boat, vessel you are booking, wherever the hotel is, that place only becomes the place of supply. So the hotel is in Goa, therefore Goa is the place of supply, right? Goa is the place of supply. Now, of course, the owner of this resort will be registered in Goa only. So location of supplier is in Goa. Location of recipient is in Gujarat. I am registered in Gujarat, which is irrelevant, which means this will be considered as an intrastate supply only and not interstate supply. So where the recipient is from is not relevant. Where the place of supply is and where the supplier is, these 2 things are important to determine whether it is intrastate supply or it is interstate supply. Got it? Yes or no? Clear, ma'am? Understood. So this was all about IGST Act, 3 sections that we had to study. IGST Act. Section 7, interstate supply. Section 8, intrastate supply. And Section 9, territorial waters of India, where what is important is location of supplier and place of supply to determine whether CGST, SGST will be applicable or IGST will be applicable. Now again moving on to CGST Act. Again moving on to CGST Act, we have already completed Section 7 and Section 8 of CGST Act. Moving to Section 9 of CGST Act, which is the charging section of GST, levy and collection. Charging section of GST, levy and collection. The corresponding section in IGST Act is section number 5. So the same to same provisions of section 9 of CGST are contained in section 5 of IGST, which is the charging section of IGST Act. Okay. Now we have to study 5 subsections in this. 9.1 talks about normal levy. 9.1 talks about normal levy. Normal levy says that. Chal. Normal levy says that GST will be applicable. If you are making intrastate supply, then C plus SGST. If you are making interstate supply, then IGST. So GST will be applicable on all the supplies of goods, services or both. Of course, GST is only applicable on goods, services or both. Tax, who will collect and pay to government? The taxable person will collect and pay the tax to government in the prescribed manner. Right. On all goods, services or both. Now, how do we arrive at the GST amount? If I want to know that what will be the amount of GST on this calculator, what I will do? I will see the value of supply into rate of tax. It will give me GST amount. So, for example, I sold something worth 1000 rupees, taxable at 18% GST. So, I got the GST amount to be 180 rupees. So, determining GST amount is very simple. You need two variables. One is value and one is rate. So, how to determine the value of supply? According to section 15, we study value of supply in section 15. Whatever transaction value becomes the value of supply. Rate, whatever government notifies. So, government notifies the rate for each and every HSN code on the recommendation of council. Practically, you will see that 28% is the maximum rate as of now applicable on any goods or services. But theoretically, we will say that 40%, up to 40% IGST, which means 20C plus 20S can be applicable on any goods or services. So, rate as notified by government on recommendation of council, maximum they can notify is 40%. As of now, they have notified 28 only. And most important thing, except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. On alcoholic liquor for human consumption, GST was not levied, is not levied and will not be levied because it is written in the charging section only. So today also, on manufacturing of alcohol, state excise is levied, and on sale of alcohol, VAT CST is only levied depending upon whether it is intrastate or interstate respectively. So GST is not levied on alcohol, levied on all other goods, services, value according to section 15 and rate whatever government notifies. This is section 9.1, normal levy, corresponding section 5 in IGST Act. What is 9.2? 9.2 says that GST on these 5 petroleum products: high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum. We told these 5 products that, what we told them? You go and take a nap. You go and take a nap. Why take a nap? Because today GST is not applicable on you, but from a future date. Future. From future. From a future date, GST is going to be applicable on you. So till that, you go and take a nap. What is nap? Nap says that high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. On these 5 petroleum products, today also central excise and VAT CST is only applicable. GST is not applicable, but it is not permanent. Understand the difference. On alcohol, GST will never be applicable also. But on high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude, we are waiting for a date when government is going to notify on recommendation of council that from today, GST is applicable on these products also. Got it, ma'am. This is all about 9.192. Then moving on to section 9.3, which talks about reverse charge mechanism. there are certain goods and services. Earlier, RCM on goods was not applicable in your syllabus, but from now onwards, in inter, only RCM of services is applicable, but for final level, RCM of goods as well as services, both are applicable in your syllabus. So we have to study both the list of goods as well as services which are liable under reverse charge mechanism. Right. So there are some kind of notified goods or services on which RCM applies. Now understand, if I say Mr. A supplied some services to Mr. B which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism, then who will bear the burden of this tax? I am saying this is a transaction taxable under RCM. Who will bear the burden of the tax? Question number 1. And question number 2. Who will pay the tax to government? Who will bear the burden and who will pay the tax to government? Ma'am, very simple. Recipient B will bear the burden and recipient B will only itself go and pay to government. That is what we call as RCM. Because in FCM, what happens? B would give the tax to supplier and supplier would then in turn give the tax to government. So the only difference between RCM and FCM is that the person paying the tax to government is different. Bearing always who bears the tax burden? Recipient only. Be it RCM, be it FCM, recipient will only always bear the burden of the tax. It is only and only about payment. So payment we will say in FCM, supplier will pay, but in RCM, recipient will only go and give the tax to government. So by introducing RCM, we are not shifting the burden on anyone. We are not shifting the burden on anyone. Simply by introducing RCM, we are saying that the liability to pay the tax to government will be on recipient. Bolo yes or no? Yes, ma'am. Then first we study supply of services which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism, and this is of course important for your examination. No need to even mention. Every attempt there is at least 2-3 marks coming from RCM. At least I am saying RCM will be part of your big question, compulsory question, exemption question, might be a separate question also, might even come up in MCQ. So you have to pay attention. Okay. Now first is supply of services by GTF. Now this chart that I have given you here is very nice, pretty. But while teaching through like 2-3 batches, I have now discovered a new chart which will be more simple for you. So if you are comfortable with the chart already given in the book and you know the provisions, it is fine. But if you have studied from the recent November batch, or if you are watching revisions only for the first time, then this will be more helpful for you. So how you will go about the GTA provisions? First of all, you will ask who is a supplier. The first question that you will ask is who is supplier? Is the supplier GTA? Yes. If the supplier is GTA, only and only then you will proceed further under the RCM provisions. But let us say the question says supplier is not a goods transport agency. Supplier is an individual truck owner. Supplier is a bullock cart owner. Supplier is a horse cart owner. Anything like that, then this all doesn't fall under RCM provisions. For the transaction to fall under the RCM provisions, only and only goods transport agency should have provided transportation services via road. Okay, so if the supplier is GTA, yes. Then next question you will ask, who is recipient? If the supplier is GTA, then straight away next question you will ask, who is recipient? Is recipient one of the specified recipients? You will ask, is recipient one of the specified recipient? If the answer comes as no, the recipient is not specified recipient, then we will say it is always going to be exempt under GST. If the supplier is GTA, but the recipient is not specified recipient, then no need to check any other thing further. You will simply say if the supplier is GTA and the recipient is not specified recipient, it is always going to be exempt under GST. But if the recipient is a specified recipient, then you will ask 5 questions. Yes, the recipient is a specified recipient. Then I will ask, is the supplier GTA registered under GST? If yes, then has he opted option of forward charge mechanism? If yes, then is he issuing proper invoices to the customers? If yes, issuing invoices, then is he collecting GST at the applicable rate of taxes, and has he given a final declaration in the annexure that they have to give? If the answer to all these questions is yes, then this will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. But if the answer to any of these questions is no, then it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. See, only these two are relevant for exam purpose, because question number 3, 4 and 5 we assume in exam that it would be okay only. So in exam, if you find out that the supplier is a GTA, yes, which means it now I have to move further in the chart. If it is not GTA, then this provision only will not apply. So if the supplier is a GTA, next question I will ask, who is the recipient? If the recipient is specified, now who are specified recipient? We have made a very simple technique to remember that CF scrub people are specified recipient. This is a mnemonic. Ma'am, what do you mean by the term CF scrub? C means cooperative society, factory society, casual taxable person, unregistered, registered partnership firm, and body corporate. These people are known as specified recipient. So if at all a GTA is providing services to specified recipient, it will always be taxable under GST, always. This will be always exempt and this will be always taxable. But the only question is RCM or FCM. If the answer to these 5 questions is yes, then it will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. If the answer to any of these questions is no, then it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Let us take 2 examples. Example number 1, an unregistered GTA. An unregistered GTA providing GTA services to ABC Limited. ABC Limited who is unregistered in GST. Bolo, RCM, FCM or exemption? Question number 2, a registered GTA who has opted for 12% forward charge mechanism option is providing GTA services to an unregistered individual person. In this case, bolo RCM, FCM or exemption? We will simply go according to the chart. So in both the questions, supplier is a GTA, yes. So we move further and then we ask who is recipient. Is recipient a specific? Point number 2, recipient is an unregistered individual, does not fall in CF scrub. Because recipient is an unregistered individual, he is not falling in CF scrub, he is not a specified person. Therefore, we will say that this is going to be exempt under GST. But point number 1, we are saying that supplier is a GTA. Recipient is a specified recipient. Everyone giving incorrect answer, give yourself a good tapli. Chalo. Recipient is a body corporate. Recipient is a body corporate. Limited company is a body corporate. So according to CF scrub, B means body corporate. And this body corporate, even if is unregistered under GST, still because it falls under CF scrub, no, RCM will be applicable. Understand, if you are a specified recipient, you cannot escape tax. We are only to decide whether FCM or RCM, because GTA is unregistered. GTA is not registered, so the answer to this question is no. Therefore, RCM will apply. But ma'am, if ABC Limited is unregistered, how is it going to pay GST to government? Doesn't matter, no. Section 24 compulsory registration says that if a person is liable to pay GST, he will compulsorily take registration, then pay GST. That is not our problem, no. If a recipient is liable to pay GST according to section 24 I-9 creation, that person is required to compulsorily take registration. So in this case, ABC Limited will first compulsorily take registration, then pay GST under reverse charge mechanism to government. Bolo yes or no, absolutely clear. You can just take a screenshot of this and note this chart later on because it is not given in the notes. But while teaching through 2-3 classes, now I have developed this new chart which I will replace in the next version of the book. So you have to see who is supplier. Supplier is GTA, then who is recipient. If recipient is not CF scrub, then it becomes exempt. No need to see any further thing. Plus there are these 3 TDS people, if you remember, right? 3 TDS people. These 3 people. Department, establishment of government, local authority and government agencies. These people are registered only for TDS purpose. They are also considered as other recipient only and they also always get exemption. So no CF scrub and plus these 3 TDS people, they are always exempt. But if you are CF scrub, then GST always will be applicable. The only question is RCM or FCM. For that you have to ask these 5 questions, and if the answer to these 5 questions is yes, then FCM. No, then reverse charge mechanism. Done, ma'am. Then moving further, next entry is legal services. Next entry is legal services. Now, what do you mean by legal service? Any advice, consultancy, assistance in the branch of law, representational services, it is all legal services. The catch here is these legal services should have been provided by an advocate or a firm of advocate only. Being a chartered accountant, I can also provide legal services. Being a company secretary or being a tax consultant, all of us can provide legal services, but in all of these cases, forward charge mechanism only apply. No concept of RCM here. So you can just write and strike off that for CA, CS, tax consultants, etc. This point is not applicable. This point is applicable only and only if an individual advocate or a firm of advocate is providing legal services. Say yes or no. Okay, ma'am. Now, if these services are provided to some another advocate, firm of advocate, CG, SG, UT, LA, GA, GE, central government, state government, union territory, local authority, government agency, government establishment, then in that case, or a person other than business entity, it is all exempt under GST. But if these same legal services by an advocate are provided to another business entity whose previous year financial turnover is greater than registration limit, then RCM will apply. Otherwise, exemption will apply. A very simple question. Let us say, Janani. So we have Janani here, whose preceding financial year turnover was only 2 lakh rupees. But she decided to take voluntary registration. She took voluntary registration. Now in current year, she is availing some legal services from advocate. Bolo, RCM, FCM or exempt? Ma'am, very simple. This is going to be exempt under GST because whether Janani is actually registered or not is not the point here. What was her turnover? Greater than registration limit in preceding financial year? No. Turnover was only 2 lakh, whereas the registration limit might be 20, 40 depending upon which state she is. So in that case, she was not liable to take registration. She voluntarily decided to take registration, doesn't matter. So in this year, when she is availing legal services from an advocate, it is still going to be exempt under GST. Only and only if you are a business entity. Only and only if you are a business entity whose preceding financial year turnover is greater than registration limit, only then reverse charge mechanism is going to apply. Your actual taking of registration is irrelevant. Bolo yes or no. Tamanna, Ajay, Devendra, now clear. You do not have to see whether actually registered or not. You have to only see preceding financial year turnover of the business entity. In the same case, let us say we have Siddhi here. Siddhi decided to do a court marriage. So Siddhi with Siddharth. Siddhi and Siddharth went to a lawyer, hired the lawyer, and the lawyer charged some fees to do their court marriage. Now, because they are person other than business entity, no, then whatever the turnover, whatever the consideration be, it will always be exempt only. For a business entity preceding financial year turnover greater than registration limit, then only RCM in case of advocate is going to apply. Senior advocate point, not that important for exam, never even asked, doesn't matter. Chalo. Then service by arbitral tribunal to business entity. Again, if an arbitral tribunal is giving services to CG, SG, UT, LA, GA, GE, person other than business entity, it is all going to be exempt. Same to same provision like legal only. But if the arbitral tribunal is giving services to a business entity whose preceding financial year turnover greater than registration limit, then RCM, otherwise exemption. Same to same provisions apply. Just a simple question here. In FB changes, Schedules B negative list, C means court or tribunal. Ma'am, when you explained in Schedule 3 that tribunal the services provided by a tribunal are not even liable to GST, they are not supply because they fall under Schedule 3, then why even a question of RCM or exemption should arise? Tell me. The question here is very simple. The question is, in Schedule 3, negative list, we studied that tribunal, whatever fees they are charging, it is not a supply only. Ma'am, if it is not a supply, then why are we even studying here whether it is RCM or exempt? Understand, those were judicial tribunals. Those were judicial tribunals like NCLT or CESTAT or GST tribunal, where you go actually to file your cases. Now those tribunals are judicial tribunals and their fees are all outside the purview of GST. Here we are talking about these out of the court settlement like arbitration, mediation, conciliation, all of that tribunals are covered here, and for that this RCM exemption provisions apply. But for judicial tribunals like National Company Law Tribunal or says that for customs or GST tribunal, those are all which are just like court, they are all covered in Schedule 3, National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT. Okay, ma'am, understood. Chalo. Next point says that services provided by way of sponsorship to any body corporate or a partnership firm. Now again, the supplier of sponsorship service can be any person. The supplier of sponsorship service can be any person, but the person paying the consideration, who is availing the sponsorship services, the person paying the amount of sponsorship, this recipient compulsorily has to be a body corporate or a partnership firm. If the recipient is a body corporate or partnership firm availing sponsorship services, supplier can be any person, registered, unregistered, body corporate, partnership firm, individual, whoever the supplier is, it is irrelevant. But the person paying the amount of sponsorship, the person paying the money of sponsorship, the person being the recipient, if this person is a body corporate or partnership firm, then we will say it is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Otherwise, it is taxable under forward charge mechanism. Yes, the classic Garba example that we always take. Got it, ma'am. So the person paying the amount of sponsorship is always the recipient, right? And this person should be body corporate or partnership firm. Then RCM will apply. Even if they are unregistered, doesn't matter. They will first, according to section 24, take compulsory registration, then discharge their liabilities, and then they will pay tax under RCM. But they only have to be body corporate or partnership firm. But let us say, Mr. A provided sponsorship services to Mr. B, so to Mr. C. Mr. C paid the amount of sponsorship. Now in this case, this will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. Had this been not Mr. C but C Limited, then being a body corporate, C Limited would pay tax to RCM. Who is a supplier is not relevant at all. Recipient has to be body corporate or partnership firm, then RCM will apply. Even if they are unregistered, they will take registration under section 24 and then discharge their liabilities. Services by central government, state government, union territory, local authority to business entity in taxable territory. So if government is providing any services to business entity, then business entity also have to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. There are some additional conditions also attached to it, which we will study in the chapter of exemption. So in exemption chapter, there is a particular chart given for government services where you will see that we also have to see consideration, turnover, etc. all the other things. For now, if you want, you can simply ignore this entry because anyways it will be covered in the exemption chapter. The entry simply says that except for my pati, pati means husband. So you just leave your husband in charge chapter. We will again catch up back later with the husband in exemption chapter. So, services by Department of Post, Ministry of Railways, aircraft vessel, transportation of goods, passengers and immovable property. You can simply leave these entries for now. In point number 5, what we will do with all of these transactions, we will see in the chapter of exemption. Some things might be exempt, some things might be taxable under FCM, some things might be taxable under RCM. We will see later on. But for this entry, what we are saying? For this entry, we are saying you leave these 4 things, you leave these 5 things. Other than that, any other service if government is giving to business entity, then the business entity will be paying tax under reverse charge mechanism. Okay. Now, particularly talking about renting of immovable property. Chalo. This thing I have given as such in exemption chapter, but I will explain here also. For renting of immovable property by government, we are saying, okay, if the renting of immovable property is done by government to a registered person, it is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. If to an unregistered person, it is taxable under forward charge mechanism. If renting of immovable property, is done by government, CGSG, UTLA. Now again, this is covered in exemption chapter, but I am explaining you here also. If renting of immovable property is done by government to registered person, RCM, to unregistered person, FCM, but both the cases, consideration up to 5,000 is exempt, and 5,000 is per annum, per year. So if the rent of this immovable property, is only up to 5,000 rupees, then it is going to be exempt under GST. Let us assume it is 6,000, then entire 6,000 will be taxable, and not just the 1,000 which is over and above 1,000, 5,000. Entire 6,000 becomes taxable. So this is simply a checkpoint. If it is up to 5,000, exempt for everyone. Above 5,000, RP, RCM, URP, FCM. Got it, ma'am. Then talking about normal renting of immovable property, not by government. You and me, normal people who are not government, if they are doing renting of immovable property, then if normal people who are not government, they are doing renting of immovable property, then what to do? Then in that case, we will say renting of immovable property by any normal person who are not government. If it is commercial purpose, then always forward charge mechanism. But if it is residential purpose, then you have to see whether given to registered person or unregistered person. If given to unregistered person, then it is exempt under GST. But if given to registered person, then you will have to check the purpose. Is it somewhat related to business? Ma'am, how can residential be related to business? Let us say I am a registered person and I am paying rent for my staff to stay at a residential place. So it is residential, but it is related to my business. I being a registered person, let us say a company is paying rent of director's home, or the proprietor is paying rent for staff's home, which means it is residential, but somewhere it is connected to business. No, it is not personal. In that case, the registered person will be required to pay reverse charge mechanism. And if it is purely personal, I am registered in GST, but to stay with my own family, I have taken a house on rent. In that case, if it is purely personal, then it is going to be exempt under GST. What do you understand? If normal renting of immovable property is done, it is all mentioned in book, do not worry. If normal renting of immovable property is done for commercial purpose to anyone, be it registered, unregistered, if you are giving property on rent for commercial purpose to anyone, it is always forward charge mechanism. But if residential dwelling rented out for residential purpose given to unregistered person, it is exempt. If you are giving it to a registered person who is, even though he is registered, but he is staying in that house for personal purpose with own family, that is exempt. But if that is related somewhere to business, let us say company paying rent for director, proprietor paying rent for staff, in all of these cases, it will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Say yes or no, clear to everyone. Done, ma'am. Then again, very simple, any person transferring development rights, floor space index, giving a land on long-term lease to these builders. Builders are known as promoters under GST. So if you are giving transfer of development right, floor space index, additional floor space index, long-term leases basically at least more than or equal to 30 years. And the consideration can be payable upfront also, in parts also, and consideration can be known as in any name. So in India, at multiple places, this kind of amount, somewhere it is known as lease, somewhere it is known as rent, somewhere development charges, salami, premium, cost, price, it can be named as anything. Essentially, it is a payment that you are giving for long-term lease or for transfer of development rights or floor space index. Then in that case, promoter being a recipient, of course, we small people, builders are big people. So builders will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism to government, right? Moving on to next entry, which talks about director. So tell me, if a director is coming to the board meeting of the company, charging sitting fees, who is supplier, who is recipient? Director is coming to attend the board meeting of the company, company is paying sitting fees, who is supplier, who is recipient? Where are you all? Chalo, I want the Josh to be high. Quickly write a high in the comment section, everyone. Write a high in the comment section, everyone, and give me answer. Who is supplier, who is recipient? Man, of course, company is paying consideration. No, the person liable to pay the consideration becomes recipient. Company will pay the sitting fees, therefore company is the recipient. And because director is attending the meeting, director is going to be supplier. Now in this case, if a director receives any remuneration from the company, if the director receives any remuneration from the company and it is in professional nature. Professional nature means the TDS is deducted under section 194J of Income Tax Act. So it is a professional kind of payment, sitting fees kind of payment. Then the company being recipient will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. But in some cases, we can say that director, if is an executive whole time kind of director, where whatever amount he is receiving, no, it is in the nature of salary. His TDS is deducted under section 192. Then what to do? Then in these cases, salary is outside the purview of GST according to Schedule 3. So no question of RCM, FCM will only apply. Here it will be no GST. So only and only if the director is receiving payment in professional nature, TDS under 194J, then RCM. If receiving salary from company, TDS under 192, then no GST. And remember one more thing, whatever amount director is receiving in the capacity of a director, that will only fall under RCM. Let us say, this is a director in a company. Company wanted a land on rent. The director was the owner of this land and building. So director gave this building on rent to the company. Company paid rent to director. Now in this case, understand the rent that I am receiving. No, it is not in the capacity of a director. It is in my personal capacity. That even if I was not director of this company, I would still have given this property on rent to the ultimate company, which means now I am not acting as a director. I am acting as a different individual who has merely given renting of immobile property services to the company. So here RCM will not apply. Here normal GST provisions are going to apply. So we are saying services that you are giving in your personal or private capacity, not in the capacity of a director, will not be covered here. Whatever professional fees you are receiving as a director, only those will be taxable under RCM and the company will be required to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Bolo, makes sense to everyone? Yes or no? Yes, ma'am. Then insurance agent giving services to insurance company, recovery agents giving services to banking, financial institutions, NBFC, all of these again we will say taxable under RCM because recovery agents are small people, insurance agents are small people, banks are big people, insurance companies are big people. They have thousands of agents in a single company. So of course, company we can make liable to discharge RCM on all the commissions that they are paying. Then a music composer, photographer, artist, whoever is permitting the use of their original work to music company, producer, etc. Of course, these will be small people and the music company, producer will be big people. So they will only pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Again, for an author who has written a book, if the author is giving the rights of his original work to a publisher, it is taxable under reverse charge mechanism normally. But if the author wants, the author can exercise an option to take registration under GST, collect tax under forward charge mechanism and pay it to government. See, for these people, if I'm a music composer, lyricist, photographer, etc., artist, and I give rights of my original work to these people, compulsory RCM has to be levied. Even if I want to collect tax under FCM, not possible, compulsory RCM will have to be levied. But in case of author, they are saying by default it is RCM only. But if the author wants to take GST registration and declare to pay tax under forward charge mechanism, the author can do so by giving a declaration in the invoice and applying to government. But if you are taking such kind of an option at least for 1 year, then you will have to stay registered as an author. So for author, we will say normally RCM, but if the author wants, the author can take registration and also collect tax under FCM and pay it to government, then RCM will not apply. Members of overseeing committee to RBI, again Reserve Bank of India being the bigger body, will be liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism to government. Individual direct selling agent giving services to banking company. Now understand there are two people involved here and ICAI a lot of times confuses you. Recovery agent are one people giving services to bank and direct selling agent. Direct selling agents are another people giving services to bank. Now here we are saying recovery agent can be anyone. Recovery agent can be anyone. Anyone means it could be an individual, could be a partnership firm, could be a company who are doing services of recovery agents. All the cases, bank will always be liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. But particularly for direct selling agent providing services to bank, the direct selling agent has to be an individual only. Only and only if the direct selling agent is an individual, which I have highlighted separately also, that only and only if the direct selling agent is an individual, then only RCM is going to apply. If the direct selling agent, let's say, is a company or an LLP or a partnership firm, then all the cases forward charge mechanism will apply. A recovery agent can be anyone. Recovery agent can be anyone providing services to bank, always RCM. But direct selling agent has to be mandatorily individual. Then only RCM will apply. If no individual, let's say the question says a partnership firm of direct selling agent giving services to bank, it will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. Do you all remember this right away, right now with me? Tell me. Yes, ma'am, we remember this. Chalo. Then moving on to next point, which talks about business facilitator and business correspondent. All the girls here in the lecture, hi. All the girls pay attention, something very important for you all. Chalo. So we are now talking about the BF. Oh, business facilitator. Girls pay attention. Chalo. Business facilitator, we are talking about. Business facilitator gives services to banks and agents of business facilitator gives services to business facilitator. Right, ma'am. Now, a golden tip for you all girls to remember that a BF in life will never take liability. A BF, a business facilitator, will never take liability is the trick to remember the point. Which means when BF is giving services to bank, BF is a supplier, bank is a recipient. Being BF, he will say, I will not take any liability. So, bank being a recipient will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Next case, when agent is the supplier and BF is the recipient, he will say, I am recipient. No, you collect in forward charge mechanism and pay to government. So here the supplier will collect under forward charge mechanism and pay to government. So when agent of business facilitator gives service to business facilitator, FCM. When business facilitator gives services to bank, RCM. A business facilitator will never take liability. And exactly opposite of this is the business correspondent, where we will only use the full form. So business correspondent, we are saying, will always take liability, always. Which means when business correspondent is the supplier and bank is the recipient, he will say, I am supplier, I will collect under forward charge mechanism and pay to government, of course. But when the agent of business correspondent is providing services to business correspondent being a recipient, will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. So very simple technique for you all to remember is BF will never take liability and business correspondent will always take liability. So whenever BF is supplier, RCM, BF is recipient, FCM. In case of business correspondent, it is going to be exactly opposite. Do you remember this thing with me? Yes or no? And girls, please remember this golden tip from me. Done, ma'am? Understood. Chalo. Next is security services. Now the point of security services says that any person except a body corporate. Now tell me who is not a body corporate? Who is not a body corporate? Chalo. It's been already more than 3.5 hours. Come on, you need to entertain me now. So any person except body corporate. Who can not be a body corporate? Ma'am, an individual, a partnership firm. These people are not body corporate. If they are providing security services to any registered person in GST, if a person other than body corporate can be an individual, partnership, from anyone providing security. Now understand, security services here particularly are personal security services. Personal, which means person. You are sending a bodyguard. Let's say you are sending a bodyguard, you are sending a watchman. Those services are covered here, not you providing security cameras or CCTV cameras. No. If you are sending a personal, an individual person to give security services to a registered person, then this registered person always will be liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. I'll ask you 3 questions and I expect answer from you. Chalo. Let us say question number 1. ABC Limited provided security services to XYZ Limited. ABC Limited provided security services to XYZ Limited. Both are registered under GST, both of them. Question number 2. Mr. A provided services to, let us say, ABC Limited. Again, both are registered in GST. Chalo, tell me whether RCM or FCM. Point number 3, chalo, 2 questions are enough. So you first have to see that the supplier is not a body corporate. In question number 1, the supplier is a body corporate. The supplier is a body corporate. Matter close here only. This will be taxable under forward charge mechanism. In question number 2, my supplier is not a body corporate. Supplier is an individual providing services to a registered person. If this is ABC Limited, this is Mr. A, this is ABC and firm, doesn't matter until and unless they are all registered under GST. No, they will all be liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism because the supplier is not a body corporate. Registration has to be seen at the part of the recipient, and at the part of supplier you have to see that he or she is not a body corporate. Say yes or no. So first case FCM and second case RCM. Supplier not being a body corporate, providing services to any registered person, this registered person will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. But these four people forward charge mechanism will apply. These 3 same to same people, that TDS people that we saw in GTA point, right? Government, local authority, agencies, if they've taken registration only for TDS purpose and the composition taxpayer, for these 4 people, always and always forward charge mechanism will apply. Other than these people, this provision that we just now study is going to apply. See, security services are never exempt under GST. Understand, security services are never exempt under GST. It will be either RCM or FCM. So according to this provision, you need to check RCM. Otherwise, all the other things automatically become forward charge mechanism only. For these 4 people being recipients, always and always forward charge mechanism will apply. Moving on to next entry, which is renting of motor vehicle designed to carry passengers where cost of fuel is included in consideration. Forget the chart and write what I am telling you to write. Very simple technique. Supplier should not be a body corporate. Recipient should be a body corporate. And chalo, we'll say point number 1. 5% rate option should have been opted. Supplier is not a body corporate and recipient is a body corporate. If all 3 conditions are fulfilled, then RCM will apply. Otherwise, if any of them is not fulfilled, forward charge mechanism is going to apply. Say 5% GST rate, supplier not a body corporate and recipient body corporate. If all the conditions are satisfied, then RCM, otherwise FCM. Let us say Mr. A gave such kind of renting of motor vehicle services to ABC Limited. Bolo RCM, FCM. Next, ABC Limited gave services to ABC Limited. Next, ABC Limited gave services to Mr. A. And Mr. A gave services to Mr. B. See, and we have We have assumed that 5% rate is applicable all the time, because if at any point of time 12% rate is applicable, then forget supplier, forget recipient, forget everything. If 12% rate is there, no, then always forward charge mechanism. If 12% rate is there, then always forward charge mechanism. But for 5% rate, we will say supplier should not be a body corporate and recipient should be a body corporate. Supplier is not a body corporate and recipient is a body corporate. Therefore, here RCM will apply. But all, see, here supplier is a body corporate, supplier is a body corporate. Therefore, FCM, supplier is not a body corporate, but recipient is also not a body corporate. Then again, I will say forward charge mechanism will apply. So only one RCM, rest 3 FCM. All the 3 conditions if satisfied, 5% rate is taken, supplier is not a body corporate and recipient is a body corporate, then we will say RCM is going to apply. Clear? Understood? Yes, ma'am. Chalo. Then last entry of RCM, which says that security lending scheme. We saw in the chapter of supply also that in case of security lending scheme, the lending fees always is going to be taxable under GST, and in this case, whoever is the borrower, that borrower will pay GST under RCM only. So security lending scheme, whoever is the borrower of security, this borrower will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism, because normally, everything is arranged through an intermediary. So borrower never even knows that from whom he has borrowed the securities, because everything is arranged by the approved intermediary only. So the recipient straight away simply will pay IGST RCM in all the cases. Done, ma'am. Then moving on to next point, which says that from 1st March 2023, whatever RCM provisions are applicable to government, these same provisions are applicable to parliament, state legislatures, courts and tribunals also. Understand? Court tribunal, providing services to you normally for justice, it falls under Schedule 3, not even taxable. But there could be other services that a court is providing. Let us say court is providing a chamber on rent to lawyers. Then similarly, just how government when gives renting of immobile property to normal people, that same provisions will also apply to court, tribunal, parliament, state legislatures also. So here we are simply saying that whatever provisions we have studied for government, those same RCM provisions will also start to apply to parliament, state legislatures, courts and tribunals also. Right, ma'am. These were all the RCM services that we studied under section 9(3), which is of CGST Act. All the 16 entries as it is are applicable also and also for IGST Act. The same 16 entries that we studied in section 9(3) are applicable in section 5(3) of IGST Act also. Plus there is one more extra entry in IGST Act. That extra entry says that if at all a person in taxable territory is importing some services from a person in non-taxable territory, then the importer in India will be liable to pay tax under RCM. Very simple, because the exporter, the supplier is outside India. How can we tell him to come to India and pay taxes? So simply we will say that any person who is located in India is availing services from outside India. Basically, it is import of service. It is import of service. Then this person in India will be liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. There is one exception to it, who are NTOR. Who are this NTOR? Non-taxable online recipient. NTOR, non-taxable online recipient, who are availing OIDAR services. We will cover this in the chapter of place of supply. So online information database access retrieval services, online money games if you are playing. Let us say you are taking subscription of Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. Now all of those cases for OIDAR services being provided to non-taxable online recipients, they are taxable under forward charge mechanism only. So we tell Netflix to take registration, collect GST and pay to government. Other than these OIDAR services, if there are any normal import of services, then for any normal import of service, we are going to tell the importer to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism to government. And here we complete the entire list of services which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism in GST. Bolo, is it absolutely clear to all of you? Yes or no? Is it absolutely clear to all of you? Say yes or no. Yes, ma'am, understood. Then there is a list of goods given which is taxable under RCM that you will of course have to self do. I cannot help anything because this is a list of goods that if cashew nuts, they should not be shelled or peeled raw cashew nuts. If they are supplied by agriculturist to registered person, this registered person will pay tax under RCM. BD wrappers, tobacco leaves, essential oils, silk yarn, raw cotton, lottery, if all of these things supplied by a specified supplier to a specified recipient, then this recipient will pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. This is a list for goods that of course you will have to learn. I cannot do anything. At the max, what you can expect is one MCQ out of it, or let us say in a big question they have given one transaction of certain goods which is taxable under RCM and you need to know the taxability. So this you will have to learn on your own only. Right. Now moving on to section 9.4. We are only left with two sections and then we wind up entire charge of GST. 9.1 said normal levy. 9.2 said high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. 9.3 said that RCM on goods and services. And then 9.4 talks about an unregistered person. An unregistered person who is supplying some specified goods or services to some specified registered person. Then this specified registered person will have to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Understand, not any unregistered person providing services to any registered person are liable under RCM. Only and only for specified goods or services, only specified recipients will have to pay tax under RCM. As of now, who is specified here? Ma'am, as of now, only real estate sector is specified here. Only one sector, one person being a recipient, real estate sector, section 9.4 is specified here. Now in the regular batch we discuss all the reasons that why real estate sector, why this provision, everything. In revision I will straight away tell you the provision and we proceed further. Now no need to remember this chart. This chart is given in module for your understanding, but it is not applicable in exam, so we do not cover it right now. The only reason to give this chart was to explain the reason that why this provision has come, which we are anyways not discussing for now. So we are simply saying that for those kind of houses which are given in the chart, those residential properties, if the promoter is purchasing certain inputs or input services, if the builder, the promoter of real estate sector is purchasing certain input or input services, then at least 80% of the total input services will have to be purchased from a registered person. Let us say the total input services were worth 100, but I purchased only 70 from registered person. Then the shortfall of 10, whatever is the shortfall from 80%, that you will have to pay RCM at the rate of 18%. Do you recall this? Say yes or no. What we are saying, that purchase of input or input services at least 80% has to be from registered person, excluding TDR FSI, because on this anyways RCM applies. Then high speed diesel, motor spirit, petroleum crude, natural gas, A not given because anyways aviation turbine fuel cannot be used in transportation only, and electricity as such is also exempt under GST. So exclude all of these things. Other than this, whatever total input services you are availing for purchases, at least 80% of this should be from registered person. If less than 80% are from registered person, then whatever is the shortfall from 80%, on that shortfall, you will have to pay 18% RCM. Cement particularly, even if you are purchasing 1 rupee ka cement, even if you are purchasing 1 rupee ka cement, it has to be from registered person. Even if 1 rupee cement you are purchasing from unregistered person, then you have to pay GST at the rate of 28% under reverse charge mechanism. So let us say total of cement, steel, pipes, bricks, etc. all input services I purchased worth 100, out of which only cement of 10 I purchased from URP. All other things of 90 I purchased from RP only. Then according to the first condition that you have to purchase at least 80% from RP, that is fulfilled. No need to pay GST for that. But cement, even if 1 rupee cement I am purchasing from unregistered person, no. On this 10, I will have to pay GST at the rate of 28%. To put it very simply, even if you want to purchase some of your input services from unregistered person, please do purchase things other than cement. 20% things you can still purchase from unregistered person, because the threshold is 80%. So those 20%, let those things be other than cement, because even if 1 rupee cement you are purchasing from unregistered person, no, you will have to pay tax at the rate of 28%. If you are purchasing any of the capital goods, this was about input services. If you are purchasing even 1 rupee capital goods from unregistered person, then according to the HSN code, whatever is the rate of GST applicable on this capital goods, that same rate of GST you will have to discharge under RCM also. So we will say input services at least 80% from RP, otherwise 18% RCM. Cement full from registered person, otherwise 28% RCM. And we will say capital goods also full from registered person, otherwise according to HSN code, whatever actual applicable rate is there on those capital goods, that you have to pay under reverse charge mechanism. Understood everyone? Clear? Yes ma'am. Sure. And now finally moving on to last subsection, which is section 9.5, where we say a supplier to be hat rahe, a recipient to be hat rahe. Hat rahe in Hindi means move aside. For English students, if you do not understand the meaning of hat rahe, you can remember this as hater services, as the simple hater services. So what we say, for these 4 kinds of services, we will say supplier, recipient, the e-commerce operator who is arranging the transaction, that e-commerce operator will be liable to collect and pay GST to government. So we are saying a supplier to be hat rahe, a recipient to be hat rahe. We are hating supplier, recipient, both of them basically, and now we love the e-commerce operator. So we are saying the e-commerce operator to come in the picture and collect and pay GST to government. Now, H means housekeeping. H means housekeeping. A means accommodation. So, housekeeping basically, let us say example is urban clap. I am calling a carpenter, a plumber, an AC repairs person from urban clap, urban company. It is all housekeeping service. Accommodation, basically you can take example of Oyo, Trivago, where you are booking a hotel. So for housekeeping and accommodation, we say, if the original supplier, if the original hotel or the original plumber or carpenter, the original supplier is liable for registration, then that original supplier will only collect and pay GST to government, not e-commerce operator. But if the original supplier is not liable under GST, then in that case we are not going to leave the tax, and then we will say that the e-commerce operator becomes liable to collect and pay GST to government. What we are saying, see, for section 9.5 notified services, 2 things which are housekeeping and accommodation. Housekeeping and accommodation, e-commerce operator will be liable only and only if supplier is not liable. But for T and R services, which is transportation of passengers and restaurant services, for transportation and restaurant, we are saying that always and always e-commerce operator is going to be liable. Do you understand the difference? Yes, ma'am. For housekeeping and accommodation, e-commerce operator will only be liable if the original supplier is not liable. But for transportation and restaurant, we will say that always e-commerce operator will be liable, which means even if a restaurant is registered under GST, but you order food through Zomato from that restaurant will not be liable. We will say Zomato will be liable to collect and pay GST to government. So here we make eco liable only if supplier not liable. Here, even if supplier liable, not liable, we will not even check. So if you are booking a cab through Ola, Uber, you are ordering food through Swiggy, Zomato. Now all of these cases, always e-commerce operator will be liable. But there is one exception to both of them. In case of transportation, if you are booking an omnibus through a company, it is a very typical, and I don't know what kind of an exception that they've given. They are simply saying, I am booking omnibus. See, other than omnibus, if anything, you are booking a let's say you are booking a two-wheeler. was not able to recall the word two-wheeler. So you're booking a two-wheeler through Rapido, or a three-wheeler, a rickshaw through Ola, Uber, or a normal taxi, maxi cab, motor cab, anything like that. If you are booking, always and always, e-commerce operator will be liable to collect and pay GST to government. But if you are booking an omnibus, and that omnibus ka supplier is a company, who is registered under Companies Act in India, right? So if the supplier of this renting of omnibus service is a company, then e-commerce operator will not be liable. The supplier itself will be liable to collect and pay GST on this renting of omnibus. But let us say I booked an omnibus through Ola and the supplier is an individual. Then again e-commerce operator becomes liable. Only and only a very specific and particular case, that if I am booking omnibus through a company, then e-commerce operator will not be liable and company itself will be liable to collect and pay GST to the government. And one exception for restaurant says that, again, always for restaurant services also e-commerce operator only liable. But particularly if I am ordering from a restaurant which also has accommodation services in it, so let's say this is Hyatt or Marriott or ITC or any big hotel that you can think of which also has a restaurant in it. I am ordering food from here through Zomato. Now this particular premise also has rooms in it. I can book accommodation also, and the declared tariff of every room is greater than 7,500. Now it might be possible, ma'am, there are multiple rooms. Rent of some rooms are 6,000 and some rooms are 10,000. Then even if there is one room whose declared tariff is greater than 7,500, then also you will fall here only. So you have to see whether or not there is even any room whose declared tariff is greater than 7,500 per unit per day. Then in that case, Zomato being e-commerce operator will not be liable, and the restaurant itself, this restaurant itself will be liable to collect and pay GST to government. So section 9.5 hut ray services. Section 9.5 hut ray services simply says that for housekeeping and accommodation, eco liable only and only if supplier not liable. But for transportation and restaurant services, always eco liable with one exception. If transportation of omnibus done through a company, then company itself liable, not eco. And if restaurant services given by a restaurant which also has accommodation in it where the declared tariff is greater than 7,500 per unit per day, then the restaurant itself will be liable and the e-commerce operator will not be liable. All the liabilities which the eco will have to pay under section 9.5 have to be paid from cash ledger only. They cannot use their credit ledger. This is not a part of their own turnover. It is supplier's aggregate turnover and it is a purchase of recipient. E-commerce operator is the person merely collecting GST and paying to government. Therefore, they do not need to show this as their sales or as their purchase also. Say yes or no. Done. And here we complete the entire chapter of charge of GST. Chalo. My target was to finish up everything till registration, but since it's the first day of revision and also we started little late, so not able to cover everything. No problem. Tomorrow we'll take composition and registration. Bolo, everything till here is absolutely clear to all of us. Supply, composite mix supply and charge of GST. Because I have a class at 7, so I'll have to end this session now only. Done? Chalo. I hope you all had a great time and we'll be meeting continuously for 4-5 days every day to finish up revisions like this quickly. So within 5 days, we will try and cover each and every chapter of GST and everything will be revised. See, the full 100% English revisions of customs are already uploaded for May 24 examination and there is not a single amendment in customs this time. So I will not take customs again. I will share the link of customs revision on Telegram today only, and they are all latest amended revisions, right? They were all recorded for May 24 exams. And May 24 customs, November 24 customs is exactly same ditto without any amendment. So we will not cover customs. You can view the May 24 customs revisions only. For GST in 100% English, I am going to take every single chapter in the revision series, which will need me approximately 4 to 5 days. So by, I would say 26 or 27 August, we will complete all the revisions live on YouTube. Every day we will meet at 2 p.m. Done? Chalo. Hope you all had a great time. If yes, then do tell your friends also to join from tomorrow. Subscribe the channel, like the video. Do not forget to share it with everyone and spread the word as much as you can. We are doing a great work here, I believe. And of course, you will all enjoy with me for these next 5 days and you will have a solid grip on GST. Chaliye. Then we'll meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and bye-bye everyone.